Briscoe, his 5th win already in 2020.
It's Gregson out in front all by himself.
On consecutive night, Austin Cindric will take the checkered flag.
Burton's going back to victory lane in NASCAR.
Harrison Burton wins again in 2020.
We'll give you some of those names as we have the starting grid, as it will roll across the bottom of the screen. And again, the way starting lineups are done, it's a random draw. The top 12 in points, random draw. Then the next 12 in points, random draw. You see Michael Annett, Jeff Burton, lucky on that draw. They'll be in row 1, row 2, Austin Cindric and Justin Allgaier.
Joe Gibbs Racing teammates make up row 3, Riley Herbst and Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones, guys, looking for a turnaround. He has had some tough luck as of recent. He's trying to get to the finish of some of these, Jeff.
Gonna go down to row 4, Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain, still not a win this year. We picked him as one of our favorites coming in for the championship. Still looking for that first win.
Row 5, Noah Gragson, 2 wins this year, trying to turn things around a little bit of late. Anthony Alfredo, 6 top 10s in his 9 starts this year.
In row 6, you see Haley and Chase Briscoe. Rick, surprisingly, Chase Briscoe only 1 of 2 Fords in the field. Those Fords have been fast, have won 5 of the last 6 races.
Yeah, pretty impressive what the Fords have been able to do with those 2 drivers, Briscoe and Austin Cindric. A little bit deeper there, you'd have Dexter Bean and Myatt Snyder. They will be back in row 7. A little further back in the field, Brett Moffitt mentioned double duty for some of the drivers. Brett Moffitt, the 2018 Truck Series champion, will be racing tonight. He's alongside Alex LeBay.
In row 10, you're going to see Brandon Brown in that 68. We're going to be talking a lot about him when it comes to playoff points, guys, in that cut line. Brandon is right on that, and no surprise, we still haven't seen Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch all the way back at 28th. He's going to have a lot of traffic when this race starts.
You see David Starr there. He's from the Texas area. Stephen Parsons back in a 99 car, doing a nice job this year.
Timmy Hill going to be running in all the races this weekend with Kyle Busch there. And also running all the races. Both those guys in the same row.
You'd follow Kyle Busch, wouldn't you? Or at least try to?
Might be a good idea for Timmy. Anyone else?
See a little trouble with the 02 still sitting on pit road.
Stephen Light back there, only car in row 19, but as you mentioned, a little bit of an issue here for the 02. We'll have cameras all around the racetrack as well as inside. Some of them will ride along with them, guys.
Yeah, this is Ross Chastain with the Nutrient Ag Solutions. He has a side pinner on that car. He's not finished worse than 6th in the last 6 races, guys.
Kyle Busch, as you said it, Rick, the king of the Xfinity Series. A great shot looking back at Kyle. We'll watch him do his work.
And Jeff, when you mentioned king of the Xfinity Series, he's also the king of Texas Motor Speedway. A lot of success here at this racetrack.
To the floor, switching lanes. Girl, use a freak, drive me insane. If she can't help it, I'm the one to blame. From the pedal to the metal, got you screaming out my name.
Comes Kyle Busch, stands back up on the throttle. Cue up the rowdy rap. It's time for Rowdy to get rowdy in Texas.
For the 9th time here at Texas Motor Speedway, Kyle Busch will win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
If she can't help it, I'm the one to blame. From the pedal to the metal, got you screaming out my name.
97 wins already career-wise for the Xfinity Series and Kyle Busch. But take a look at Kyle Busch versus the field at this racetrack.
So guys, normally I would say Xfinity race, Kyle Busch, relaxed. I think anything but. With the struggle he's had on Sundays, going winless this year, Jeff, I think this race matters for Kyle Busch. Winning creates momentum. I don't care what series you're in. He's going to have to run good today to try to carry some momentum into Sunday.
Yeah, this is going to teach him something about this racetrack. This track is going to change a great deal between this race and the truck race tonight. He's going to learn the trends in which the track's going to go and that could really benefit him in tomorrow's race.
Yeah, think about the other drivers in the field. We heard from Harrison Burton this week. He said a win against Kyle can change your career. These guys love when Kyle comes to race against them because it gives them a chance to really measure up against one of the best.
It's that yardstick that all these drivers are looking for. Let's go back to Marty Snyder.
Hey, Rick, in the offseason when Kyle Busch signed up for the Texas triple header, originally it was supposed to be in April with the temperatures around 60 degrees, but today it is in the 90s. It's going to be a much different challenge for Kyle Busch today. And you guys mentioned it, he starts 28th. If he can win from here, It will not be a record from the furthest back a winner has ever started here at Texas. One time it's been done from further back, set by Kyle Busch back in 2008 when he won from 31st, Dave.
Marty, a lot of people have their eyes on the 9 car of Noah Gragson today. Why is that? Mile-and-a-half tracks like this Texas Motor Speedway have been very, very good to him this year. 3 times he's led the most laps on a mile-and-a-half track during the race. The only issue is, hasn't been able to close the deal. No wins yet for Noah on a mile-and-a-half out of his 2 career wins. Ricky's looking to make that a change today.
And the reason why you're seeing these cars make their way onto pit road, they haven't been in the cars or on the racetrack at all this weekend. So right now they're checking their tachometers to make sure that they are at the right speed. Pit road speed, 45 miles per hour. We'll be right back with the green flag. Closing in on the green flag here for the Xfinity Series from Texas Motor Speedway. It is the 16th race of 2020, and it's been a little bit of a rush after the COVID pandemic put everyone on the sidelines for a little over 7 weeks, and now catching back up here. You see the field 2 by 2, letting them know one more time around, and they will see the green flag. How difficult is the heat, guys, sitting inside these cars? We know it's 94 outside. It's going to get really hot in the cars soon.
You see right now, it's already 111 degrees right along Ross Chastain. But I think the biggest concern for the drivers right now, Junior, is just the not understanding what this track is going to do in regard to grip. Look how black the middle of the racetrack is. That's a traction compound that the track puts down. Is it going to have grip? Is it not going to have grip? Remember Kentucky last week? They didn't make it through the first corner and had a wreck. So that's the biggest concern right now for the drivers.
Yeah, they're all out there trying to weave through that traction compound to understand really where it's at. The track just has no laps on it. Nobody knows where any of the grip is, even outside of the traction compound. We've seen troubles here on the first laps of these races, not just this year, even here last year. It's a tricky little racetrack. It's dirty. It's going to take them for a few laps to figure out exactly where the grip's at and how much they can push these cars, and hopefully nobody makes a mistake of going too far.
Let's listen into the 11 radio and what Justin Haley and the team are talking about.
Have fun out there, man. Keep it in one piece. Keep us updated on what you need all day. We're here for you. Be aggressive. We got you. Good luck. Have fun, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it, boys. Appreciate everyone's hard work. Go get another good finish today.
Pole sitter gets the opportunity to choose which lane, and Michael Annett has chosen the outside lane for the start of this race. It's Michael Annett and Jeb Burton making up row 1 as we get ready for lap 1 from Texas Motor Speedway.
All those guys on the outside are trying their best not even to get into the traction compound early in 1 and 2.
3 wide.
Austin Cindric wasting no time jumping up to the front of the 22.
Austin Cindric's been fast on these 1.5 miles, immediately taking the lead.
Looks like a little left front tire rubbing, the one of Michael Annett. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And on the right side of your screen, the 54 of Kyle Busch started back at 28. He's going to try to want to make as many moves as possible for a lap 20 comp caution.
And he's going to take advantage of the high line. He goes up into the traction compound as Austin Cindric starting to pull away now already.
Oh, it looked like some debris or something came off the one car going into turn 3 there.
I saw that piece of something shiny.
Yeah.
Austin Cindric really putting an exclamation point on what he was able to do a week ago at Kentucky. Before Kentucky, he had never won on a 1.5-mile racetrack, never won on an oval. And he goes out and sweeps Kentucky 1 week ago, and now he's up front pulling away.
You see these cars, oh, a little bit of contact right there.
Yeah, maybe the 21 in the fence off of turn 2.
19 of Jones on the inside. I mentioned it earlier, talking about a driver who just needs to get some laps. He has had finishes the last 4 outside the top 30. All a result of accidents of some sort, some of his own doing, some getting caught up in someone else's issues, so he just wants to get some laps and work on his car.
Anthony Alfredo's in the 21 on the outside in that black number 21, and it's Brandon Jones in the 19, that yellow, fluorescent yellow number 19 that now settles in behind Alfredo.
Yeah, Brandon just don't seem like he can get going here. He's holding these guys up pretty bad behind him, trying to stay on that bottom. Alfredo around the top, using that traction compound to make that pass and get clear. They're bottled up behind Brandon, though.
Hey, Steve, you mentioned how bad it worked. Oh, trouble, and Riley Herbst is in trouble. Rick?
Big damage to the back of that car. As a matter of fact, it's almost all gone as the 18 of Riley Herbst will bring out caution number 1 before the competition caution comes out. And big damage for Riley Herbst.
See Riley right on the bottom of the racetrack where he needs to be. Noah right behind him. Yeah. We talked about the aggressiveness of Noah Gragson before this race started.
I don't get it. I just don't get it 5 laps into a race why you have to be that aggressive on a slick racetrack with Riley in front of him. I know Noah didn't drive in there with the intention of wrecking the 18. We didn't see the last 2 or 3 laps. Maybe the 18 was holding him up. We only saw the end of the story, but definitely pushing the issue early. That was for the 10th position. So maybe he figured he had to make some runs, but either way, the loser in this will be the 18 of Riley Herbst.
Yeah, that's just unnecessary early in the race to be getting in the back of somebody and put them in the fence.
A little bit of aggression maybe early on in this race. Again, 6 laps in and already a destroyed race car for Riley Herbst.
It's context, Rick. I'm great with this move in the last third of the race, right? You've got to go. You've got to get your team spots. But 5 laps into the race, patience sometimes is going to be more important.
Steve, he's got to have the deck lid if he wants to go back out, right?
Yeah, he's got to have the deck lid. The tail panel is going to be required at this high-speed track. At this point, it's just about trying to get out there and save as many points as you can. So much time left in the race.
And he's on, guys. These two, they grew up together. They've known each other for forever. You know, Riley's the reason Noah got involved in racing. Riley took him to his first race.
Okay, just stay here, lose a lap, keep working on it.
I like that, lose a lap. That's Dave Rogers, the crew chief on the radio.
Steve, explain to him, they're on the clock right now.
So basically, when you are in an accident, you have 6 minutes to repair it. That time is the total time you're on pit road. There are certain requirements. You're not allowed to add new pieces except for required pieces. That's why you see this new tail piece getting ready to go on. That piece is required by NASCAR for safety and performance. Dave Rogers, a veteran on top of the pit box, telling his pit crew and his young driver, we're just going to lose a lap, make some repairs. We're only 6 laps in here at Texas.
Let's take a look at some more replays of this and see if we get a better look at it. This is really close. Hard to tell if anything happened before this, but just to me it looks like Noah got to the back of the 18 and didn't give him a break. Just ran in the back of him, moving up out of the racetrack, up out of the groove, and he hits the wall. I mean, I got to put that on Noah. This early in the race, you know, I wonder what happened earlier in the corner. But still, I think Noah had a chance to cut that 18 break and keep both of them, you know, from wrecking right there.
These drivers, these young drivers, Noah, 22 years old from Las Vegas, Nevada, needs to understand, I think, a lesson they're going to learn. You guys talked about, a week ago we saw a pushing contest between Harrison Burton and Noah Gragson after an on-track incident. Here's Noah again, right? So no matter what happened, perception is going to go against Noah Gragson, and the entire field is going to see that. You race with these drivers week in and week out. This didn't just affect Riley Herbst. Every other driver on the radio is saying, what happened to the 18? What happened to the 18? And they're hearing the 9. So you have to in my mind, guys, you tell me as drivers, but as crew chiefs, he's losing points in my book, right? I'm going to cut him less slack, or definitely the less benefit of the doubt if he's in an issue.
I agree. I think the drivers are always watching. They're always paying attention, even if it didn't happen to you. And Noah has been in the middle of a lot of incidences this year, not just last week. And, you know, at some point, I get it. Noah's trying to make his way in the world. Look at this, involved in an on-track incident in 12 of 16 races this year. That's a big number. So Noah's trying to make his way in the world, but, you know, other drivers are only going to take it for so long before somebody stands up.
And right here is a teammate. Noah into the 7 of Allgaier. Before it was the 21 of Myatt Snyder. The Myatt incident was on the straightaway. Here's another issue right here. That one I would say was on the receiving end. I'm going to give him a free pass for that one.
When we talked to Noah Gragson earlier this year, he mentioned, I want to be a part of wow moments. I don't know if this is a wow moment, what we're seeing on TV now.
Look, I like his confidence, and I like his identity. And I don't want to take away his fire to win. But there's a fine line, right? I mean, right here, a fire to win. If this was 10 to go, Rick, I would say that's great racing. But a lap 5 of a 200-lap race, I would say that's very impatient. That's what I think people have to realize, the fans at home, right, guys, is the context of the incident has to really be played out, because if that happens in the closing laps, Dale Jr., does that change your opinion? I still think it's Noah's fault, but I have a little bit more, you know, maybe a little bit less of a reaction if that's for the win or closing laps of a race.
Yeah, I just feel like being this early in the race, there's no excuse for it. And you see all the other incidents from earlier in the year. I mean, the obvious intentional wreck of Myatt Snyder on the front straightaway at Vegas, that sets the tone. I mean, it's hard to argue him out of those situations. And we'll see how this works out. You got to have repercussions down the road. This guy's racing for a championship. You know, this could come back to haunt him later in the season when these guys have to race him. And how will they race him?
Let's listen into the radio communication of the 9 team.
Dude, I wasn't even touching him and he was sliding up. I don't know. So it's not my fault. He just unloaded on the bump or something.
All right. So he's saying he wasn't touching him and he was sliding up. Guys, is that what you saw?
Like to be the back of the car was around, but then Noah got into him and finished him off. That's what I saw. Here we go to restart.
A little different story this time. The leader takes the bottom lane, Rick. The 22 of Cindric, that green and white car, was the leader of the race.
Got a 3 wide, going off turn 2.
Noah Gragson continues to move forward. Now
it's real tight there, the 8 car.
And here comes the 8. He's going to save it. What a save. How about that by Jeb Burton?
Down the back straightaway, I think the 10 car, Ross Chastain, got to the inside of that 8 car, and I don't think Jeb knew he was there. They come down in the corner, and Jeb just come across the nose of Chastain in the 10 car and about turned himself around.
A 10 out of 10, Rick, from the judge out of Cornelius, North Carolina. A 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Jeb Burton.
Take another look.
Yeah, so Ross is there, and Jeb just doesn't get the message or doesn't know it. Really lucky. After an awful weekend in Kentucky, wrecking early in the 8 car, Jeb straightens it out here.
And it looked like Ross thought he was there and then saw, you know,
Ross did everything he could trying to get out of that.
Exactly.
Take a look from the 10. Nutrient Ag Solutions camera.
Here you go. This is we talked about it. They all got mounted up off turn 2, and it created an opportunity for 3 wide.
Bottom of 3.
Drives under Anthony Alfredo.
In the middle, still bottom of 3.
And then goes into 3, and Jeb didn't, like you said, he didn't get the information, and he was there and didn't see him. And remember,
Still in the middle. You're good. Still
we talked about Jeb. He doesn't get many shots at this. He doesn't get many opportunities, and the last 2 races have ended early for him. So for him to save that car, that was huge. That enables him to run the rest of this race, which he has not been able to do. Great save by Jeb.
We see the 7 in front of the 9 now. That's Justin Allgaier, who was able to get by Noah Gragson for position. So now it's Cindric up front. Annette, Brandon Jones, Chase Briscoe, Justin Allgaier in the top 5. And once again, Cindric pulling away from the field. He has about a 6 car length, maybe 7 car length lead over second place Michael Annette. And we're hearing now that the 18 of Riley Herbst, involved in that accident earlier, failed to meet the minimum speed. You have to be able to meet minimum speed on the racetrack after an incident. He was not able to do that.
So basically he was close to his total 6 minutes. Had to go on the racetrack hoping it would be good enough for repairs. It wasn't to go fast enough to reset the clock. So here they are on pit road. But now the issue is if they spend a total of 6 minutes, they're still going to be black flagged. So we'll just have to take a look. We're hearing they're done. So all these repairs are all
we
from
run out of
now.
laps to meet it, so we're done.
There you have it. The news being delivered, a very early ending for Riley Herbst here at Texas Motor Speedway.
And Riley is 10th in points, guys. Yeah, he's 10th in points. He doesn't have a lot of cushion. You know, the top 12 work themselves into the playoffs, and you get so few surprise winners in there, and he could be right on that edge of making it or not.
Already, you see Kyle Busch battling for 10th position right now with Justin Haley.
Great opportunity there to see that side panner camera now off the bumper of the Toyota.
And listen to the throttle. Listen to this end of the racetrack. Rolls out of it, goes back to it pretty quickly. Right, this end of the racetrack has banking in it. It's fast. Now he's going down the front straightaway, going to approach turn 1. This end's flat. Listen to the throttle.
Way out of the gas there.
Yeah, so much. Never, not full throttle till now. So that's how different this racetrack is from one end to the other. That's what makes it so difficult.
And that change just took place about 3 years ago. So, I mean, that's not a lot of races that have been on this new configuration.
And meanwhile, on the left, the battle for second is starting to heat up a little bit. Brandon Jones trying to get around Michael Annett. 7 car, Justin Allgaier has taken over 4th place from Briscoe.
Allgaier's on the move.
Let's take a look at how that pass happened with the 7 here. Very close. Oh, yeah, that's contact. A little damage to the left front or the right front fender of the 7 car. Trying to side draft. Just getting a little bit too aggressive with that. Brandon Jones to the inside of the 1 for second off of turn 4.
Can he make the pass? As they go by the stripe, they're side by side. And it is going to be the Menards 19 of Brandon Jones taking second away from Annett. And here comes Allgaier. The door was open, and now he's going to try to drive through it.
Looks like Annett's just a little timid to get in there and use that PJ1 compound on that outside groove. Hasn't been in it at all. Doesn't really know where the grip is. Going to try to fall in behind this 98. Instead of being aggressive and jumping up out in that traction compound, he says, man, it's too early for that. I'm going to get back here and get in line and be smart. Big wreck on the back straightaway.
Maya Snyder in the 93 has a lot of damage to the rear of that car.
Jeff, you just mentioned the points in Riley Herbst's situation. That was an opportunity for Maya Snyder, who was 13th, trying to get inside that top 12.
Deck lid's knocked off and dragging the bumper cover, I think.
Yeah.
The Barabon.
And Steve, the other part of that is competition caution on lap 20. We were on lap 18, so almost made it through competition caution before this contact.
Right ahead of this. Oh, man, he just gets run over off of the corner, looked like.
Was the 5 up there? Did he get into his bumper?
Man, it looked like it. Hard to tell whether Myatt was out of the gas. It looks like to me he just gets run over off of turn 2 here.
That's Matt Mills in the 5. So early aggressive racing here, it seems like, at Texas Motor Speedway. We've talked about the lack of respect that some of these drivers are showing, and we're seeing it before we even got to lap 20.
This has been the story of the Xfinity Series this year, pushing and shoving.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like it's come out of nowhere too. It wasn't really like this.
I know.
It's like what's going on with these guys that have them running each other with such disrespect and aggression? I mean, it's. That's been a part of our sport for a long time. It's all Saturday night short track racing, but goodness, playing out on a 1.5 miles here at Texas, it's pretty wild to see.
So frustrating too, because the young drivers that are having trouble, they're not getting lap time, right? Riley Herbst sitting in the garage. Now, you got the situation where Myatt, his car's not going to be as good as it once was. So right here with Kyle Busch, he's driven up to 9th. I was watching time and scoring. Kyle Kyle in 9th, Harrison in 10th, and Ross Chastain in 8th. They had three of the fastest cars on the track.
Guys, is that temperature playing a role in this? It's 140 degrees in the cars. Very warm.
I don't know. I think drivers just need to take a breath. It's a long race.
I'm telling you another thing with Myatt. You guys know that he shares the 93 car, and he's also in the RCR car for a few races this year, but he's not in the RCR car another race before the playoff begins. So, which is an opportunity for him to drive a car that can run in the top 10 or the top 5 even. So he, this is a big blow to his opportunity to make the points, make the playoffs, and he won't have an opportunity to drive that RCR car.
So Ryan Sieg Racing is who he's driving for now, and that's the 5 of Matt Mills getting into the back, it looks like, of Myatt Snider. A lot of damage to the 93. NASCAR Drive, that is your race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers. They've got high-definition in-car cameras, or you can choose alternate cameras to see more of the action. Go to NASCAR.com/drive. You can download the mobile app today. We know that you're a part of social media, and we want you to be a part of the show. So #HeyRut. It allows you to maybe catch the eye of Rutledge Wood, right, Rut?
That's right, Rick. We're getting some great pictures from fans. We're getting some great questions. A question that we just got comes from Alan. His screen name's Fortune Racing. He wants to know if you guys think that heat is going to be playing a big factor. He was thinking back to the last time that Austin Dillon got that, but I don't know if heat's going to be a bigger factor or, Steve, these young drivers. Gosh, it's fun to hear you guys get so fired up about it. Is heat going to be a factor?
Well, I mean, as a crew chief, I would be talking to my driver way back early in the week, guys, right? I mean, you guys are prepared for hot races, to get hydration right and to be prepared for these 130, 140 degree cockpit temperatures. That has to start back on Monday and Tuesday.
Of February. I mean, seriously, if you weren't training in February, you're not going to be ready in July.
131's a problem.
That's hot.
It is hot, y'all. It's 131.
Well, and that's there under caution. It was 140 when we went to that camera earlier. Back under green, Austin Cindric has been the dominant car so far. Now Justin Allgaier all over his back bumper. Brandon Jones in the 19 on the high side, currently running second. Can he hang on to that position? Want to know where Kyle Busch is running? He has made it into the top 10. He's currently 10th and looking for more.
Yeah, he's down there way low into turn 3. Trying to get around the 21, the black 21 car. Anthony Alfredo couldn't make the pass. Have to gain the momentum back here and try to get another run on these guys. See where he goes here in the corners. Is he using that track? Nope, it's going down to the bottom, staying out of the traction compound for now. But it looks like a couple of those guys up there are starting to understand where the grip is in that outside groove. That's great for us, the viewers, because we want to see those guys use all these grooves to make moves. Anthony going to the outside. Chose better than that to go back to the bottom. But it looks like that traction compound is going to become an option for these guys.
Great shot right here. Kyle Busch trying to make his decision what to do right here. This end of the racetrack, I think Kyle just trusts himself so much. Get to the bottom early. Get there before Anthony. Get that air off that spoiler. That's experience right there.
Yeah.
He turned early. That really prevented Anthony from ever getting back to the bottom. These cars have so much less downforce than a Cup car. You can play those games with these cars much more than you can a Cup car on Sundays.
Nothing more fun than getting to a guy's bumper and taking the air off of him and getting him loose up the racetrack.
Without contact. Now, we've seen guys that have got other guys loose, but it's been with contact.
Fans would be amazed at what you can do to the air of the car in front of you by getting on his left rear quarter panel or the right rear quarter panel. It really changes for the worst how that car in front of you is handling when you do that.
And so, and where you do that, right? So on the entrance of the corner, right, you see Kyle Busch right now. Let's watch what he's doing. Battle the lead on the left side, but on the right side, Kyle Busch is going to have a big run right here. Okay, so now he's showing him, hey man, I want the bottom. I'm faster. So watch him drive into turn 1. Now the one's gotten far enough away from him where it's not as effective. Goes to the bottom, but had nothing to do with air. When the one went up the racetrack, that gave Kyle clean air, but it also didn't take air away from the one car of Michael Annett.
Look at the run. The one car, Michael Annett, got off the top of 1 and 2. Now Kyle saw that. He's going to go up to the top of 3 and 4 and try that outside. A little timid back to the gas right there, worrying about that grip, but starts to understand it, goes back to the throttle, makes the pass.
And so that position, which was hard fought, was for the 8th spot.
Again, trying the traction compound, turns 1 and 2. He saw that one car get through that corner so well and said, that's what I need to be doing. I'm going to go up there. Now look at the run he gets on this 20 car of Harrison Burton. Back to the top here. Look how quickly he got back to lock the throttle, just locking the rear end to tighten the car up.
When you say locking the rear end, that's getting both rear tires hooked up at the same time. You can do that with a throttle. That's a driver's skill. Makes the back of the car feel so much more secure. He jumps on the outside of Harrison. Harrison's been trying to get around Ross Chastain on the bottom, but...
And you see Kyle position his car a little lower than the 10. That's to keep a little bit of air on that left front, to keep the car turning. He doesn't want to be directly behind the 10 car in the corner. Trying to get any bit of air on the nose he can.
On the left side of the screen, you can see the 7 car of Allgaier making a move to second.
Yeah, this has been interesting. Brandon Jones in the 19 was able to stay right with Austin Cindric, and then it looks as though maybe a little slip up for the 19, and that allowed Justin Allgaier in the 7 to pounce. He was able to take advantage of that. Now he's starting to reel in the 22. Austin Cindric on a great run, 9th race in a row that he has let lapse. But now he is under fire from the 7 of Allgaier.
We talked to Allgaier this week, guys, and he seemed confident. He said it had been running well every race, don't have the finishes to show for it, but seemed like he had a lot of confidence coming into this race.
Yeah, he looked good as he's moving through the top 5 here. I didn't know he had enough speed here to take it to the 22 car. Cindric, though, 7 car of Allgaier looking fast right now.
Cindric loose on the exit of the corner.
So the back end slide out there for Austin Cindric. And now Allgaier tries that traction compound, a little bit higher run.
Yeah, when you run in that stuff the first time, you're not going to be that aggressive, but you're going to learn where that grip limit is and get more and more aggressive with each time through this traction compound. going to get faster and faster.
And it's going to change too, isn't it, Junior?
Yeah.
The traction compound changes. Cindric, he's pushing hard to keep this lead.
It sure is.
Allgaier, one of the veterans of the series. The 33-year-old from Riverton, Illinois, was putting pressure on Austin Cindric, but as soon as he put the pressure on him, Cindric pulled away as we go NASCAR nonstop. Austin Cindric has had his hands full. The back end of that car coming around, and he has been able to save it, but it's still difficult for him as now he's under pressure from the 98 of Chase Briscoe. Take a look at this.
Allgaier putting tons of pressure on him. Austin Cindric just sideways off the corner.
Yeah, Austin was so fast before that yellow.
Look at that.
And now it looks like he can't even hang on to the car. He's been almost in the fence off of turn 2. And here's the pass for the lead. 7 gets a run off the top, threads the needle between Jones and Cindric. It's such a good run. The 22 can't really side draft to slow him down, and Justin Clear's entering 1. But I'm just surprised at how the 22 sort of fell off here. Really dominant car. Then the caution comes out, and now he's almost in the fence off of turn 2 every other lap.
So they're all chasing after the 7 of Justin Allgaier. He led 307 laps in the first 7 races, only 12 in the last 8 races coming into this race. But now he's up front. Let's listen into the radio.
Tell him I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to wreck him. I don't think I hit him at all. I just got him really loose arrow-wise.
And guys, meanwhile, Austin Cindric, yes, that was the move that Justin Allgaier talked about where he got him loose, but Austin saying he's, quote, sketchy on rear end grip. Junior, I would say that's what sketchy looks like at 100+ degree track temperature out here on rear end grip when you just have no grip in the back of that car.
Yeah, he's really had his hands full. We've been watching his 22 car. He can't find grip in the traction compound, out of it anywhere. He's just trying to survive here so he can be able to get an adjustment on his car. And he's doing a pretty good job really putting together some laps here to stay ahead of Kyle Busch. rest of these guys starting to run him down, though. Chase Briscoe, Harrison Burton.
That middle lane has developed a lot of grip. Saw Harrison run this group down by running that middle lane, but when he got there, everybody went there. And so now all the speed's gone because now they're taking his error. But look where everybody's gone. They've gone to that second lane, the bottom lane of the PJ1, the traction compound. Only 3 to go in this stage. But look how high they are now compared to that when the race started.
Yeah, everyone was staying down by the white line or right up with the right sides close to the traction compound, but staying in the lighter gray. And now with just 2 laps to go in stage 1, Allgaier with an 0.8 of a second lead over Brandon Jones. Cindric now under attack from Kyle Busch.
Kyle did a good job there, entering the corner a little high and crossing over to get the run underneath the 22. Toyota side panner back to the bumper cam. 22 back to the outside here off the corner. And Cindric is not going to lay over. He's going to try, he's saying a couple more laps here in the stage. He's getting the white flag. He's going to try to keep this position.
Yeah, what we're starting to see is that second groove become the dominant groove. It's going to be really difficult to pass on the bottom if that third lane doesn't get developed.
Some of that difficulty to pass is, I think, why we're seeing some pushing and shoving at Kentucky. We may see it again here at Texas.
Allgaier still without a race win, but he's been successful when it comes to stages. This is going to be his 6th stage win of 2020. That's the second most of any driver. He gets stage 1.
Kyle Busch gets Cindric coming to the line.
Yeah, he got up to the back of that 22 and got him off the bottom and able to make the pass.
Justin Allgaier mentioned that his daughter Harper working on maybe a new helmet for the playoffs. He wins stage 1. In the sweltering heat, I can tell you hockey is back on NBC and NBCSN. The NHL returns August 1st with Stanley Cup qualifiers, an unprecedented 24-team tournament with ultimate prize waiting at the end. Stage 1 is over of the My Bariatric Solutions 300 from Texas Motor Speedway. It was the 7 of Justin Allgaier getting the win. We hear Ross Chastain shutting the car off there as it's 145 degrees inside that car. It's sweltering is what I would say. Is these guys will get ready to come to pit road, put the crews to work. Pit road is open, and Justin Allgaier will lead the field all the way to you, Dave.
And Rick, you know, if Chastain could have seen that Stanley Cup, he'd be about 2 degrees cooler. On the top of your screen, Brandon Jones is in. His car will not turn the way he wants it to. They'll go for 4 fresh Goodyear tires and change it on his car. Middle of the screen, there is the leader, Justin Allgaier. He'll get an air pressure adjustment for the same condition. Won't turn, Marty.
Hey, Dave, you saw inside Ross Chastain's car, 145 degrees. So when they asked Kyle Busch, what do you need? He didn't talk about the car. He talked about 2 Gatorade bottles and 2 bags of ice. That's immediately what he talked about. And despite going 28th to 3rd, he thinks they can make the car better. So it's too tight. Looks like it's driving through the front tires, and the pit crew does their job, Rick. There you go, to the lead for Kyle Busch off pit road.
2 spots is all he needed to get up front. He wins that race. Cindric gains a couple spots as well. Allgaier drops those 2, though. He'll have to restart 3rd when we come back. And welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. And the 54 has been tagged for speeding entering pit road. So that will send him to the back of the field as opposed to being up front, which he thought he was going to be after winning the race off of pit road. So a big penalty for Kyle Busch. He's done it once already, come from the back to the front. We'll see if he can do it again. Let's listen into the radio.
The needle on this tack is sticky. It's got too much PJ1 on it, apparently. So I don't know what RPMs are, but lights still work.
Yeah, 10-4. Seems like the heat's playing some games with the needles on these tacks.
He referenced the traction compound. He thought it was a little sticky on the tack.
I tell you what, Rick, as soon as we came back from break, we were looking at the in-car at Kyle Busch, and I saw him banging on the gauge like you would in an old car, like, you know, with the gas gauge. Is the gas gauge working? Well, here he is, literally banging on the tachometer like I don't know, like the needle was stuck in one location. You heard he said it was sticky. So remember, these cars do not have speedometers. They use the RPM with the tire circumference. It's a math thing that I didn't go to school, and I'd have to have a little more time to explain. But the simple fact is, if you match the RPM, that basically is telling you how fast you're going. So if that gauge is sticky, then he has no option but to go slower. Remember, he runs a digital dash with some fancy lights in his Cup car. You come back to Xfinity, it's the old needle on the gauge.
All right, let's get the input from Kyle and DJ from the Charlotte studio. Guys, what are you thinking now?
Go, man. I'm going to let you have this one.
I always thought it was wrong for the best driver in the series to have a great pit crew, too. So they gained him a couple of spots. It is unfortunate, and he will do crazy things inside of these race cars. You see, talking about that, and we'll have to see exactly how that plays out. We know already seen that he can come from the back to the front and get the job done.
Yeah, and everybody knows if it's electric, if it's a piece of electronic equipment, all you have to do is bang on it. I bang on my TV all the time, and it makes it work. So I do understand that. The fascinating part is he was calm and cool about it. He wasn't upset. He just said it wasn't working. We'll go back to the back. We'll start again. I think that's the confidence that Kyle Busch brings as a driver to any team.
Well, and he said we need to make it better. He had moved from 28 all the way up to 3rd. Now he's going to start at the back of the field once again.
Well, and Rick, you know, the reason the tack is a big deal is because, you know, we're only 51 laps in. We're going to have other pit stops. So he gained spots there. But drivers, you know, now what do you do? If you can't trust that gauge, you just pace off another car?
Well, I think he could just go to the back of each stage. I mean, if I had a car as fast as his and as good as he was, I'd go to the back each time. It's a lot of fun driving up through there.
Oh, man. Quite a show.
It's fun on Saturday, not on Sunday.
Allgaier and Cindric now making up the front row as we start stage 2.
Yeah, you're going to want to keep an eye on the right side of your screen. At 54, Kyle Busch.
Again, the blue down the middle, kind of gold on the left and right. The Twix 54 of Kyle Busch. Starting in the back, we'll see how long it takes him to get back up to the front, as up front they are fighting for the lead still. Allgaier on the inside, Cindric making that traction compound work for him on the outside.
Yeah, Cindric was really confident through the center of the corner, but had to jump out of the gas, missed the exit. Justin come back on the inside of the 22, but off into the corner. Cindric sends it back down in there.
How about Harrison Burton in the 20, also running up in the 3rd spot?
Oh, trusting that outside lane right now.
Oh, contact.
Wow.
They beat and bang down the backstretch. Allgaier trying to take the lead away.
Look how rough it is. Turn 4, they bounce through there.
Still side by side. Across the stripe, fighting for the lead. Into turn 1. Allgaier on the inside, Cindric on the outside. Allgaier slides up the racetrack in front of the 22. He takes the lead.
Wow, he took his line away. I was really surprised by
We're
that.
in line now.
The 22 would be able to get back to the back of that 7.
Here comes Harrison Burton. Throws it in down low on the turn. Slides up the racetrack. Junior, was that a slide job?
Pretty much. I mean, as good as you're going to see on asphalt.
That's something we just never saw. You know, Junior, we never did that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that these drivers have had to learn to do in these tracks where you get that second groove that's preferred. When you drive underneath somebody, you just have to take it. You got to go slide up in front of them. It's something that these drivers have learned to do, something that did not happen in the past.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to call you out now. The first time we saw that move on asphalt, you lost your stuff.
Yes.
I'd have wrecked him. That's ridiculous.
The first time I saw it, Jimmy Johnson did it to me at Bristol, and it really infuriated me.
Now, Austin Cindric trying to get back up front. And he's back on the back bumper of Harrison Burton in the 20.
Oh, man. 3 wide off of turn 2 down the back straightaway.
Look at this.
This series is wild.
A 10 of Ross Chastain has been on the move. Michael Annett way up. Here comes Noah Gragson in the 9.
I didn't know who was wrecking. They all were wrecking. I
don't know, but there were 3 of yours. If they wrecked, sorry.
That's a good point. Noah Gragson, Michael Annett, both driving for Junior Motorsports. And here's the fight for position once again. Austin Cindric moving to the inside, trying to take second away from Harrison Burton.
Harrison almost concedes. I think he decided it's too early to drive in side by side. Cindric proved he had a better car, worked his way back inside the 20.
Yeah, it's interesting. Those guys are in the PJ1 some laps. Now they're using the bottom. It's like now they're back in the PJ1 and 3 and 4. They weren't using it this last time through. And there are some differences in the banking. We talk about how they're out of the throttle so much in 1 and 2. And I've got it in my notes from last year how the PJ1 traction compound worked really well in turns 1 and 2. Not so much of an advantage in 3 and 4. And you see it. These guys just don't use it as much down in 3 and 4 yet in this race.
Notes.
Yeah, notes, man.
Yeah, I like that. Here comes Kyle Busch on the right side of your screen underneath the 51 of Jeremy Clements. That'll be for around the 15th position. Here in the 11 of Justin Haley, just in front of Kyle Busch. You might have a little bit of a vibration on the right front. We'll see if that gets any worse. Could be a wheel, could just be a wheel weight.
See, we talk a lot about vibrations nowadays, don't we? Every race, every run, drivers talk about vibrations.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, you know, the style of tire Goodyear has to bring. What I mean by style is something that's actually built within it, the way the belts are conformed, or if it's the setups the crew chiefs are now running. You know, you can get where there's such a harmonic that the drivers feel them more. If it was me, it would be all this wide open throttle. I'd feel every vibration if I was back to the throttle in the middle of the corner.
Let's go back to Marty.
Hey, Rick, so let's see the first run for Kyle Busch, 28th to 3rd to end the stage. So after the speeding penalty, 26th and now 14th. I checked in with Jason Shapiro on the 54 car. They actually replaced the tachometer before the race. So he told me, hey, that is 2 tach failures we've had on the 54 car today. So Kyle Busch will have to adjust what he does for the rest of the day here on pit road. Meanwhile, left side of the screen, battle for second place. Austin Cindric has gotten by Harrison Burton, as you guys mentioned a moment ago. And I think he wants to get back to that 7 car in the moments after that incident earlier when the 7, got some air on the 22. Austin Cindric said, put some tires on my car. I want to go back and repay him for what he did to me. So there's animosity throughout this entire field right now, guys.
Well, this in-car camera, the Toyota onboard right here, Kyle Busch, they're running all the time, not just during the race. We got to get a little bit of peek pre-race of that mechanic. Coming in here, you see the dash tip forward, rewiring the back of the dash. So 2 tachs in 1 weekend. That's a bad string of luck for the 54.
You can see all types of racing action from NASCAR, IMSA, American Flat Track with Track Pass on NBC Sports Gold. And this evening will be a sellout at Langley Speedway for their biggest race of the year. And it's also the first race since the tragic accident that took the life of Sean Beluzzo. And Junior, I know that you have actually raced against him, the winningest driver at the famed Virginia Speedway.
Yeah, I had the chance to race with Sean at East Carolina Motor Speedway back around 1995-96. Was pretty cool to share the racetrack with him, and been following his career at Langley for a while. So some sad news.
Yeah, that's going to be on Track Pass 6:45 tonight from Langley. The caution has come out. It is for debris on the racetrack. So Justin Allgaier, who's out front, will have Cindric still running in that second position. Harrison Burton is third, Ross Chastain fourth, and Noah Gragson is in the top 5. There's that debris. It doesn't surprise me. It looks like a rear panel there, Steve. I mean, we've seen a bunch of those getting hit.
I'm betting 93 or 18 because those are the two that
93,
I've seen.
Steve, winner.
All right, 93. Man, I wish it was that easy in Vegas.
Yeah, so that car now without that rear panel back in the garage. So a tough day for Myatt Snyder.
Yep, you see right there as the 93 comes through the screen, the tail just kind of pops loose.
And we mentioned it earlier, Myatt right around the bubble for the playoffs, and he shares some rides with this team and with RCR, but he's not in the RCR car the rest of this season, the regular season. He drives this 93 car trying to come back from today's tough luck to stay in the fight for those final few spots in the playoffs.
Yeah, starting out this race, he was 14 points below the 12th position. And again, the top 12 make it into the playoffs. A win automatically puts you into the playoffs, but definitely points very, very important. And for Myatt Snider, knowing that he isn't going to be back into one of the RCR cars until the playoffs start, he was hoping for as many points that he could gain while driving for RSS.
No big shocker here. Leaders all stay out, much like they did in the first stage. The 11, though, was reporting a vibration, Dave.
That's right, Steve. So they wanted to come in for Justin Haley, get that taken care of here. They will change all 4 tires, get the Goodyears off, get the Goodyears on, and with time to do it here, make sure that all 5 lug nuts are tight. There was nothing to have the same issue this time out.
There'll be less than 20 laps to go in stage 2, and we return for the restart. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. It's perfect for race fans. First caution of the race came out on lap 5 when the 9 of Noah Gragson got into the back of the 18 of Riley Herbst. They damaged the back of that race car, came to pit road, tried to fix it. They were not able to reach minimum speed, and so they had to retire early, which meant Riley Herbst had to go to the infield care center. Dave Burns caught up with him after he came out earlier today.
Riley, tell us what happened. Yeah, honestly, it sucks. I hate it for my guys at Joe Gibbs Racing. I think it was lap 4 or 5. Just kind of learning the racetrack here. First time for me at Texas Motor Speedway, and the 9 car decided to run through us. So, real shame. I hate it for my guys, Monster Energy, everybody, but he's got a lot more to lose than I do, so we'll see what happens.
Well, there you go again, guys. I mean, there's another one that put a target on Noah Gragson. He said he's got a lot more to lose than I do.
Yeah, I think it just, if you're Noah, you got to think about this stuff, because Noah wants to try to win a championship this year. And these drivers are not going to forget what happened throughout the season.
So we're not halfway through this race yet, but these restarts are going to determine who wins this race quite possibly. So you see Justin Allgaier, he's been leading the race. He took the outside. That puts Ross Chastain right behind him. So he's going to want Ross Chastain to be pushing him into turn 1. You got this inside lane. We've seen the outside work better. Let's see if the inside can hold up at all. This is setting the stage. Drivers are learning right now how to win this race.
Allgaier and Cindric making up row 1. Ross Chastain, Harrison Burton in row 2.
And don't forget this 22 and this 7, they've been pretty aggressive with each other
for years.
Yeah.
And we saw the backstretch, beating and banging for the lead. Cindric takes the spot away, but here comes Allgaier on the outside again.
Yeah, Cindric tried to squeeze him off of turn 2, give him just enough room. Get back to that quarter panel. Whoa!
Oh no! Hang on, no, into the wall. That's the 10 of Ross Chastain.
See, we obviously see some damage. The Goodyear's taking off the right side tires. Looking for tire smoke is the big question right now. You heard.
But use your judgment. Use your judgment.
Great information. Telling the driver, the tires look up, see no smoke, use your judgment.
Steve, in a Cup car, these guys would have so much damage and it'd probably be a tire up, but these are a different body here in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, the Cup cars are a steel body, so when they get smashed in, they stay in. These are composite of fiberglass, carbon fiber, different parts and pieces. So when they hit the racetrack, you see right here, oh, contact from the 98, more contact between cars, sends the 10 up the racetrack. Hard impact, but as you mentioned, Rick, the body itself kind of stays in its current shape.
Ross Chastain fighting to keep a streak alive.
Tie with you.
Yes,
Tie with you, push.
Caution.
Inside.
52 cars in the fence.
Right side here, guys.
And so now, Cody Vanderwall has brought out the caution.
Yeah, Cody, one of the 3 19-year-olds in
Did
the
the 74
field.
hit me?
Oh boy.
I think he took the air off of you, bud.
So that's the question I have for drivers, right? Is it obvious you've been hit? Well, right there, a younger driver, did he
Cody's probably never had the air taken off of him at a 1.5-mile racetrack. So if we get a chance to see any replay and really get an idea of what exactly happened, but he has to ask that question because he's probably never been in that situation before. Did he hit me or did he take the air off of me? Because I don't know that he has a lot of understanding of how that would feel to begin with. One of the younger drivers on their circuit.
And Rick, you were talking a lot about Ross Chastain. Good break now. He can come to pit road and repair a little of that damage, even if he doesn't change tires.
Let's take another look at what happened with the 52 here. Look how far up and out of the position he was in.
So right there at that point, he needs to be in the throttle. You got a lot of young drivers when they're backing up the racetrack can stand in the gas, spinning the rear tires, and keep that car out of the fence.
The key to that is when that thing starts turning around, get off of that gas quick. You've seen a lot of young drivers get wheel put to the right and throttle, and it gets really ugly.
Yep.
The word overcorrect comes out a lot, right?
There's a time, though, where you can do enough to the throttle there to keep that car from hitting the fence, and that's right. Something he'll learn.
So big break, though, for the 10. Ross Chastain, I mentioned he's on a little bit of a streak. 8 top 10s in a row he has had. That's on the line.
We've seen a lot of action so far here today, and more right here. See Chase Briscoe got into the back. Ross Chastain got him up in the fence. Ross has damage, gonna get it fixed, try to come back.
Back at Texas Motor Speedway for the Xfinity Series Stage 2. 13 laps to go. Getting ready for a restart, Jeff.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. You see right here, Algar he took the outside. Dave Burns, that reporter there at the racetrack, said he was just trying to decide what to do, rather run the top or the bottom. PJ1 didn't come in great, is what Dave was hearing, and right on the start it didn't come in, so he went ahead and took that top. Didn't want to give the 22 of Cindric the outside. Let's see how it works out.
Yeah, that top's pretty good, 1 and 2. They roll up to the Geico restart zone. The green flag is out. Coming to the end of the stage. Valuable points on the line for these guys, especially these guys toward the front.
Brandon Jones on the outside in third or fourth, battling. He had a bad pit, got blocked in his pits, lost all his track position early in the race. Fighting to get it back.
Interesting to see the 7-car Algar not use the PJ1 in the outside line of turn 1 and 2 on this restart. Looks like it would have been an advantage because it really works real well through 3 and 4 there for him.
Now if this bottom doesn't work out, he could be in trouble on that bottom because they're all lining up on the top.
Man, a lot of checkup right there with the 19, 22.
Algar was what he was saying was right, where it gets better as you run in that second lane, then the second lane is going to get better on this run. See, Harrison on the bottom got real loose, going to try to fill this hole, get up in the top. No, he decided to stay on the bottom.
And Noah Gragson. Chase Briscoe on the outside down into turn 1 on the outside of Harrison Burton.
You see this outside now, it's become so predominant now when you get stuck on the bottom. You're going to lose a ton of spots. Dave, what you hearing on the 19?
Pretty good right now, Jeff. According to the driver, it's a little bit free getting into the corner, a little tough to handle, but overall, much better rear grip for that race car, and he's chasing down Austin Cindric.
Brandon Jones had a lot of bad luck lately. He's run well, but just has not gotten the finishes.
Harrison hanging tough on that bottom groove.
Oh, Kyle Busch. Wow. Yeah, jab underneath you. Hurt him out of the throttle.
Yeah, I was wondering. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to see that 8-car pop through there, get underneath that 54 of Kyle Busch off of turn 2. Kyle makes the pass back, though, running the bottom here. Nobody's been able to really make this bottom work down in 1 and 2, Jeff. And Kyle's the only option down there right now. Oh, almost some contact. Man.
Now, what do you do if you're Kyle Busch? He stays to the top. The bottom's just starting to just not have enough grip to carry the speed on corner exit.
Yeah, the top has grip, but it seems to be easy for these guys to jump that grip, to push too far in that PJ1 traction compound. Because sometimes they'll go through the corner and it really makes some time, and then they'll struggle. It looks like Briscoe having a hard time through the traction compound in 1 and 2.
It's like this end of the racetrack, it's harder on the bottom. 1 and 2, if you're going to make it work on the bottom, it's probably better from what I'm seeing right now.
All these guys battling right here around 3rd to 7th position. Brandon Jones running 3rd. He really needs a good result. They've had a struggle over the last several weeks. This has been a good track for him. You know he's happy to be back here. Still this battle here with Harrison Burton sorting itself out. Chase Briscoe on the outside still. Marty's got some on the 98.
Hey, Junior, you talk about Chase Briscoe struggling in that traction compound. He's struggling everywhere. He said center off, the car is so tight, and he's having to wait so long on the throttle, it feels like we're 2 seconds slower than everybody else. So right here, that's where that 98 is struggling a little bit for Chase Briscoe.
And we've seen that with the 22 car earlier in the race after a cycle on pit stops. Something's happening to these guys when they have a caution and they have a cycle on the tires and get going again. It's like they can't find the grip. The car's completely changed for them.
Yeah, that gets difficult for the driver to communicate properly what the car is doing and what changes do the crew chiefs make, right? Because if you put tires on and you get a long run, you want to drive one way. If you get a series of cautions, you need to drive a different way. Dave.
So guys, this 7 car made a good change on that last pit stop. Air pressure change helped that car, and the handling for Justin Allgaier. But change as far as attitude and momentum and mentality for this team, Jason Burdett, the crew chief, wasn't so sure when I talked to him about it this morning. They've been doing better lately, but still don't have that win this year. I said, well, do you need to have more momentum, more of an upswing? He says, I don't know. He said, some years we roared into the playoffs like we were king of the world, and we fell flat on our face. So this is kind of an unusual year. I'm happy to just go week to week, laying on stage points, laying on stage wins like he's about to do here, and see where things fall by playoff time.
Yeah, this Xfinity series, I never count any of these guys out. And that regular season performance is important. But we've seen some guys come out of nowhere in the playoffs to be players in Homestead for the championship. Kyle Busch trying to get around Noah Gragson here. Noah running that outside line. Kyle would like to be in that traction compound, but he has no option but to run the bottom here. Make it difficult to get around Noah.
You want that third lane to develop, but no one wants to be the first one to go up there. If it doesn't work, it's a wreck.
The interesting thing too, Jeff, is these guys are, they're throwing marbles all over the racetrack, which is typical from the tires itself. And this traction compound is sticky, so the marbles go up the racetrack into this groove just outside of where they're running and sticks to the racetrack. So nobody's going to go up there. It's like ice outside of the grip. That's one thing about the PJ1 is all the debris, marbles, anything off these cars goes up into that top groove, and there you see it. Justin Allgaier winning the stage. Valuable playoff point for that 7 car and Justin Allgaier and that team. And again, we've heard it, the morale's down for that group. Not getting the results this year. They've had fast cars. Stage win.
They've had fast cars. They have 7 playoff points, all from stage wins. Justin Allgaier, accustomed to winning, wants to get that win. See how aggressive he is in this race. Expect to see more of that when we come back.
One more stage and we'll know who will end up in the SpeedyCash.com victory lane. So much racing taking place this weekend, especially today. More racing is going to follow our coverage here in Texas. It starts with 3 words: respect the bumps. Yeah, that's right. IMSA returns with the Cadillac Grand Prix of Sebring. That's coming up next on NBCSN, and the second night of the doubleheader in Iowa for the IndyCar Series is going to be taking place. So much racing. Keep it right here on the NBC and NBCSN. So the guys up on the wall. Remember, Kyle Busch started the race in 28th. He went all the way up to 3rd. Then he had to go all the way back, started 26th, made it up back up to the top 5, and now pit stops again. Dave?
Brandon Jones in that yellow 19, 3rd on the stage. And remember, you talked about Texas Motor Speedway being different on both ends. He needs 2 different changes for the 19. As for the winner of the stage, the 7 of Justin Allgaier, his car is good. Needs a team to just keep it there for him. Marty, that's not always easy.
Austin Cindric trying for his 3rd straight win, Dave, and he's been in the top 3 all day long. He said, we're better as we go. I just can't get the car to come in early enough for me. He said, I can't be aggressive with it to get it to rotate early in the run. So a big change here for Brian Wilson, trying to get the car a little bit better for that 3rd straight win. Going to lose a few spots here on pit road, though, for the 22.
Yeah, we saw Brandon Brown didn't get tires, so he came out in front of Allgaier. Allgaier with a 4-tire stop, though. Good move up to 2nd. After 2 stages, look at what Allgaier has already been able to do. Won both stages. He's done that before 5 times in his career, but he's only gone on to win the race once after that. Really important here, look down 9th on this list. Ryan Sieg in that 39 gained 2 points. The reason that's important, Ryan Sieg is right there near the cutoff line, so every point he can gain through these stages is going to help him stay in the top 12. Let's go back to the Charlotte studios, Kyle and DJ.
Yeah, and you are exactly right, Rick. As we look at those points, every point, in a game where winning is everything, points could be the most important thing. So when we look at it, you look at the 22 car of Austin Cindric. He ends up losing positions here, Dale. He gained points in the first 2 segments, but this one, he comes out and loses 3 or 4 positions.
Yeah, and it looks like they've kind of been struggling with their race car. They wanted to make some adjustments to try to give their driver a little bit better opportunity to go up there and battle with Justin Allgaier, who has had an outstanding run so far. So we'll see, does that matter as he tries to navigate traffic? It's going to be completely different for him as he goes on this restart, Rick.
Thanks, guys.
Rick, this restart is going to have a very different look. Anthony Alfredo in the 21, Ross Chastain in the 10 were both on pit road, a lap 76. So they will occupy the front row. Let's take a listen to the 22 about that pit stop.
Talking about it right now. Placing of the box is fine. We're going to look at the video just to see if the wheel was turned at all, if that was the problem on the right front.
More white markers off. If I need to turn it more, let me know. But shake it off. There'll be another yellow. Be smooth with it. Have another shot.
And back under green. As you mentioned, interesting restart with Anthony Alfredo in the 21 up on top. Ross Chastain in the 10 down below. And then the guy who's won both stages, Justin Allgaier in the 7, running in that high line, trying to see if he can find a way by these two.
You also see the 68 of Brandon Brown there, one of the bubble drivers trying to work his way into the playoffs. Came down pit road to get gas, did not take tires. That's how he's up here in the top 5.
Here comes the 54 of Kyle Busch as well. Now all over the bumper of Ross Chastain.
Ross Chastain has some damage. Got in the wall off turn 4.
Kyle Busch to the inside, trying to take the lead. And here comes Anthony Alfredo. Look at him work his way back to the inside.
Hey, Anthony Alfredo in that 21, back-to-back 6th place finishes at Kentucky. I was impressed with the positions he put that 21 car at a very tough racetrack. We'll see what he's doing following Chastain and Kyle Busch on the front here.
And Ross Chastain is not moving over for the 54, the winningest driver in Xfinity Series history. He's making him work for this lead.
I expect nothing less from Ross Chastain. This is what we like about this guy. He races everybody for everything.
How about Alfredo trying to jump on the outside of Kyle Busch?
Interesting, too, these guys in their older tires. Seems like these tires are hanging on really, really well right now. Great move by their crews to put them in position to succeed here.
A lot of crew chiefs paying attention. Can they use this strategy later in the race?
Allgaier staying up high in third. Big wiggle out of the 54. Kyle Busch has to catch it. Drops all the way back to 4th.
Anthony Alfredo to the inside of our leader. Down the back straightaway.
Is he going to slide up in front of him? Anthony Alfredo in front.
Incredible.
He's been impressive in this car. He really has run well, had good speed. Done a really nice job.
Justin Allgaier in the 2nd.
Anthony Alfredo, the 21-year-old out of Connecticut, now in front of the field at Texas.
Kyle Busch is in the 3rd position now, the battle for 4th between the 9 car and the 10 car. So Anthony's on these older tires. Expect the 7 car to get there, but can he get by him on that bottom groove? Anthony's going to run that traction compound.
And this pit decision by Andy Street, the crew chief of the 21, wasn't to just lead the race. It was to kind of flip the track position. They had been stuck outside the top 10 most of the day, Rick. So even if he gets past, falls back to 4th or 5th before the next cycle of pit stops, a net gain for the 21.
Steve, tell me what they're thinking, though, strategy-wise. All of these guys will have to come to pit road at least once more because the race goes 200 laps. We've only completed just over halfway at 101 now. They were on pit road at lap 76. Everybody else on lap 93.
Well, you hope that it's close enough that you saved enough fuel under those guaranteed yellow flag laps that the 21 will also only have to make one more pit stop. Now, their window of opportunity is much smaller. Just a few laps. They got to pit right in that window to split that long run evenly. But like I said, they were stuck outside the top 10, couldn't find a way. I like this gamble. This is the crew chief believing in his young driver. And look what he's pulling off. Outrunning Justin Allgaier and Kyle Busch to lead here in Texas.
And Steve, Andy Street has shown a willingness to do that earlier this year. He's done it a couple of times, and here he is with Anthony Alfredo making the move. I checked in with him a moment ago. He said purely track position. That's the only reason they made this move. And you see, pitted at lap 76, so that opened up the window for them to be able to do this, and his young driver has answered the bell as well. They struggled early on with the handling of the car a little bit, kind of running back there around the 12th, 13th position, but now they flipped the track position, and the 21's out front.
Yeah, I think, any car's going to struggle in 12th position for dirty air. With this clean air out front, his car's going to drive a whole lot better. The kid's showing legit speed right now in front of these guys.
And a veteran call by Andy Street, who's a new crew chief to oval racing, a longtime engineer at RCR. He actually went over to the NHRA, won a championship with Tanner Gray in the Pro Stock Series. Tanner Gray now runs the trucks. He'll run later tonight in the trucks here at Texas, but Andy Street pulling off First year, calling it like a veteran.
But how about the confidence of putting a young driver out there? Allgaier making a move underneath him right now.
Bumper now. Get down.
Cleared him.
Stay up top.
All right, kind of let him go by there. I was a little surprised by that because he'd been working so hard to keep that lead and waved by Justin Allgaier.
You heard Derek Nealon coaching him to get back in line. He knows it's a track position game. Now we're going to see the 54 of Kyle Busch.
Oh, Kyle trying to take that middle groove, wants that traction compound. Anthony had to lift Noah Gragson to the inside for third. But they're going to be in the traction compound. Cindric's going to go to the outside, try to take that position from Noah now. 5th place.
This is where that
21. The 21. Yeah, the 21 had some debris on the grease still.
Alfredo hard into the wall.
Get ready, guys. Right side. Caution's out.
Big slide up the racetrack. Anthony Alfredo slamming into the wall.
I was completely out of the gas. I couldn't turn.
That wreck started all the way back on corner entry. He had clean air, running laps. He let a couple guys go by, and looks like the right front tire is up. Drivers, it looks to me like he just cooks it in a little too hot. And as you mentioned earlier, how slick it is outside the groove.
Look how
right
high
here.
it is.
Yeah.
Look, they had these, they had the trucks were on the racetrack under this last caution, blowing debris from the top of the racetrack down into the PJ1. And all that sticks to that PJ1. And those guys, I was talking about it earlier. If you get, where they're running in the PJ1 is fine, but just outside of that is completely dirty. And he gets into that, he lifts out of the gas, turns the wheel all the way left, and he still can't keep it out of the fence because of how dirty the racetrack is in this higher PJ1 where he's at.
He said it. He said on the radio, I was out of the gas and it wouldn't turn. Well, yeah. It's just if you get that high, you get in all that debris and, it's just no getting out of it.
Yeah, during the last caution, we saw the trucks go out there and blow the track clean, and they just blow that dirt all the way down back into that sticky, hot PJ1.
Yeah.
And it made that outside groove that they aren't using almost unbearable, like ice.
Yeah, Junior, you mentioned how high. Well, here he is. He kind of enters the corner in the groove, but look at the car. Continues to go up the racetrack. Compare him to the 22 right behind him. He's a whole car width higher. There's not a car width worth of grip up there, right? He's in that loose stuff. At this point, he's straight off on corner exit.
And look at Jeb Burton behind him with this save. Oh! Jeb has seen more action in today's race than he wanted to.
I still like the call, though, Andy. Right? Trust in your young driver. He made a mistake. We talk about names are made in the Xfinity Series. Well, so aren't mistakes. These are young drivers. They have to learn. Marty.
Hey, how about Travis Mack? Flipping a little strategy here. Why not? 92 to go. Kind of getting off strategy. They've been back around the 10th, 11th position for Michael Annett, who started on the front row today. So Travis Mack calling his driver here to pit road. Everybody else staying out, but this puts him in a window, Steve, where he can do something a little bit different later in the race.
Travis Mack and I have had tons of conversation about how he races with Michael Annett, and he said last year it was all about filling that points bucket, running well in the stages. He didn't get as many as he hoped in this race in the stages, scoring 4 points. So now gamble, maybe he could find some points at the end of this race through pit strategy.
great new show on Peacock, created and hosted by, of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Lost Speedways, that premiered this past Wednesday, now available on Peacock. And what an absolute treasure this has been to watch, Junior.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rick. We had a lot of fun putting this together. You know, we go across the country finding these old abandoned racetracks and learning about their stories. And it seems like fans really love the show.
All right, Rutledge is at home, and he has been fielding questions from fans. And I believe Rutledge, maybe a big fan, has sent you a question. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, Rick. This is so cool. I mean, I'm so glad I got my Fleetwood Mac decorations up to be from home, but to monitor the fans, we got a big fan of Dale Jr.'s. Jimmy Means himself sent a great tweet, and he wants to know, Dale, is it awkward at all when it's your driver that's involved in some of these cautions, especially when they play the greatest hits from earlier this season? What do you think, Dale?
Well, I think you just have to call it like you see it. Fans are going to know, you know, what happened out on the racetrack because they're watching the same thing you are. So you just got to call it straight down the middle. And I talked to my drivers and my sister and other people involved at Junior Motorsports about that. I'm like, hey, I got to say what I believe really happened in those instances, and we worked through it. But I enjoy calling these races because I love to see these young drivers and learn about them because they're going to come up into the Cup Series one day.
Rick, I just hate we weren't covering last week's race because that would have been really interesting.
Yeah. Back to the green flag they go here in third and final stage. And you see Kyle Busch in the 54 on the bottom, Justin Allgaier in the 7. Out front, Noah Gragson in the 9. Now, will he make a move trying to get by the 54 for that second spot?
We talked about respect. Now, Noah's raced for this guy. They got a relationship. Be interesting to see how that racing pans out on the racetrack here as they battle for second place between Noah and Kyle. Kyle's got the preferred line, I believe, on that outside line. The momentum down the straightaway clears him into turn 1. We're going to have to see, though, what kind of speed Kyle has now as he's back up toward the front of the pack here, trying to chase down Justin. Justin's been really quick.
Kyle running in the second position, Allgaier up front, and Kyle with a little bit of a run here. You see him closing the gap. Now Noah Gragson in the 9 has the 22 of Austin Cindric closing in on his back bumper.
You mentioned it, Jeb Burton there in 5th. He's seen about every accident today. He's been out of his windshield. Harrison Burton stuck on the bottom again. He continues to kind of get pinned down there. We'll see if he makes it work. Oh, he does. He slides up in front of the 10 of Chastain.
You got to imagine Chastain's just a little wounded from that hit off of turn 4. I know these cars are pretty tough, but that was a pretty hard hit earlier in the race with Chastain.
Yeah, just because the sheet metal or the bodywork pops back doesn't mean everything else does, right? And you could bend some of the other pickup points and important parts of the suspension.
And he's still on much older tires than these guys around him. And when you're on old tires, it's okay when you're first or second. But when you fall back into the field with those older tires, racing around guys with 20-lap better tires.
By the way, those two were teammates that we were just seeing racing side by side, the 10 and the 11. Those are colleague racing cars as we see now the battle for the lead. Here comes Kyle Busch moving to the inside. At the stripe, he took the spot away from Allgaier. We'll see how difficult Allgaier will make it. And it looks as though Kyle Busch up front looking for his 98th win in the Xfinity Series.
Wow. Busch just slid in front of Justin. Was not going to get him that outside. Hand out the window. Saw his left hand out the window. You know, hey, man, I got you. Appreciate you cutting me some slack there. Kyle Busch respects these Xfinity drivers. He doesn't come in here and think he's just going to win every race. He respects them for what they do.
Yeah. I would have expected a little more of a side draft from the 7 car Justin down the front straightaway. I don't know that you can let Kyle Busch take the lead of this race. We always battle for third here, getting a little close.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
hard into the wall is Gragson.
We talked about it, that he's starting to get a reputation by other people. Buddy, no deck lid. That's going to be tough with no deck lid.
It's not over. He stayed in the gas. Back into the wall he goes.
Caution. Inside.
Caution's come out. He's going to try to get to pit road.
Don't go to pit road.
And they say don't go to pit road. Caution came out. That closes pit road. He would have been penalized. but he's got a lot of damage to the right rear.
So, Rick, we've seen this looseness off turn 2 all day long out of the 22 and out of other cars. Is it contact or is it air?
No contact.
Nope, I think that's all air. The 9 chases it up and runs out of real estate.
Yeah, it didn't look like there was contact. Let's look at this angle. He's loose. Yeah, never touched him.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier in the show how you'd be really surprised at what the car behind can do to the car out front. Getting on that quarter panel can really move you around if you're the lead car.
And then down here at this end with the damage, flat tires, no sheet metal, no downforce. All right, so drivers,
He drove in there like it was perfectly fine. He never slowed down.
So I got to put this on you guys, right? So I feel a lot of confidence as a crew chief. When I see contact, I could call it. But right there, no contact. Is that dirty racing by Cindric, or is that just an unfortunate air getting Gragson sideways and not being able to save it?
No, that's not dirty driving. That's racing. No contact. If you're going to pass somebody, you got to get close to them. So there's nothing dirty about that, Marty.
Well, for his part, Austin Cindric initially felt like he did get into Noah Gragson, but clearly from our replays and Brian Wilson, his crew chief, told him, you didn't touch him at all. But Austin did say, I probably could have been a little nicer to him right there. But again, you guys talked about it. Not going to cut the 9 much slack. And I think that goes for a lot of people in the garage area right now.
Well, listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with being on somebody's left rear quarter panel. I mean, not touching them. If you're going to pass them, you have to be close to them. I mean, that's what racing is, right? You can't pass them from a car length back. So if that is against the driver code, then I never needed to drive, because you're going to have to push the issue if you're going to make a pass. If you don't hit somebody, I don't see how they can blame it on you.
Yeah, he didn't run over him. Just cars are pretty aero dependent.
All right, so split thoughts here.
I'm very surprised, actually, that these guys are coming to pit road. Just not many laps on their tires. 82 laps to go. Unless what they're trying to do here, Jeff, is put a set of tires on and have the opportunity for a much shorter pit stop later in the race to keep their track position. Marty.
That's the one thing, Steve, that might make sense here. Kyle Busch took him 115 laps to get to the lead, but finally did get there. And he said, I would love to hustle the car a little bit more, but the rear of the car just won't let me do it. Meanwhile, Chase Briscoe complaining about that tight condition all day long. In fact, he said a moment ago, it feels like I'm on the splitter from the start of the run to the end of the run. It's tight and nothing ever changes. And then Ross Chastain also on pit road. A lot of guys selecting to come get 4 fresh Goodyear tires here. The 10 also on pit road here. So Steve, I think that's what they're thinking here. Let's make that final stop of the day maybe fuel only or right side tires.
Yeah, try to just speed up their opportunity on pit road. The 98 is on pit road, so he's making some big adjustments to the 98.
Different strategy, too, for the 9, it seems, Steve, as far as fixing the damage. They came down pit road, did a little bit of work, and then sent him back out, then came back to pit road. But there's why the damage is there.
Yeah, heavy damage. We'll see if he can get it repaired when we come back. I know. Hey, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Bert, but my point was, if I'm a fan watching, right, be like, no.
The official app of NASCAR puts race coverage, live in-car cameras right at your fingertips. You can unlock premium content today with a free trial. Go to NASCAR.com/mobile. And you saw under NASCAR Nonstop, a lot of work still being done with Noah Gragson. Let's get some thoughts, though, from the Charlotte studios. KP, DJ, guys, what do you think? Any more cautions the rest of this race?
I think definitely, and this is going to be a lot of fun, the different strategies. Kyle Busch is definitely going to win the award for passing the most cars today, but will he be in front when this is over?
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun watching this. Can't wait to see the end of it. And yes, there's going to be more cautions. Glad to be back with NBC and be here.
I like the way you guys switched positions on my screen there. DJ now on the left, KP on the right. Good move there for you guys as we get ready for the restart here.
I say we invite him back tomorrow.
I think that would be a great idea. He'll be back tomorrow with us for the Cup race. Green flag back in the air. Justin Allgaier out front with a great restart. Austin Cindric not able to get in the gas as quick. Jeb Burton putting a lot of pressure on him in the 8.
Justin Haley in the 11. He's the car that just shows up. Last 25% of all these races, all of a sudden when they're ready to pay points, he ends up somehow in the top 5.
Cindric once again challenging down on the bottom of the racetrack. Allgaier trying to pull away, though, using that traction compound up in the second groove.
So Kyle Busch and Harrison Burton pit. Kyle Busch restarted in 15th. Gave up a ton of track position.
I think a lot of these guys saw how fast the 21 car Alfredo was on that final last restart when he stayed out, thinking coming to pit road wasn't necessary. Battle for the lead, tightening up a little bit as Cindric closes in through 3 and 4, using the bottom groove. Riding on board Toyota camera, the roof cam for Kyle Busch.
I love this shot because it shows you what he's up against, right? Too wide. This strategy to come get tires is going to be very difficult. He's driven it back up in the top 10. He's done that all day long. But these positions are going to get more difficult as he looks to pass this 02 of Brett Moffitt. Is the next car on the right-hand side, the 19 of Jones, the yellow car on the left-hand side.
Oh, Jones is loose down there.
Sliding up, almost getting into the 54 of Busch.
And that's treacherous for Kyle because he has to go higher in that traction compound than he wants to go.
Yeah, we saw it did work out for Anthony Alfredo earlier.
Absolutely. That's the fear if you get up there too high. Here's the battle for the lead. Between these two guys, they've been duking it out all day long. Cindric drawing a beat on that 7 car of Justin Allgaier down into turn 3. Cindric to the bottom. Been a little quicker on this bottom down here.
Justin Allgaier's led more laps today than he has at any point in his career on a 1.5 mile racetrack. So trying to get his first win of the year, flexing his muscles.
And Jeff, we heard him say when he came off the pit road after winning, I think it was stage 2, he said, this car is great. And I think that's one of the things that, and you guys would obviously be able to tell us, drivers, when you've got a car that you just feel like is a winning car, you got to feel like you're Superman out there.
Oh, it's so much confidence gained. When you drive in the corner, it sticks and it does everything you want it to do. Gives you confidence that you understand that you're a good race car driver. You can make it happen.
Little housekeeping rip, the 9 of Noah Gragson, unable to make repairs and meet minimum speed, so he'll take it to the garage, day over. He's going to finish outside the top 30.
Gragson 2 wins already this year. 21-year-old will be in the playoffs, but again, a short day for Noah Gragson. Allgaier staying up there in that traction compound. Austin Cindric trying to make the bottom of the racetrack work. Still about 3 to 4 car lengths separating the top 2.
Yeah, and I think with each lap, the driver in the traction compound gains more and more understanding of the grip level and the confidence and can increase their lap time.
As Allgaier's running up front here. A week ago, it was in question if he was going to be able to run in the second race, as we see Brandon Jones trying to get by Harrison Burton. Burton fighting back on the outside, but Allgaier, after the first race in Kentucky, he ended up going to the hospital, had some health issues that they wanted to check out. He was there late into the evening. His wife keeping constant communication with him, and when we talked to Justin, he said, well, you know what, it really ended up being something very good for me. He said, I found out a lot about myself that's really helped me personally, and so he feels more comfortable about it. He was able to race in both races at Kentucky, and now looking really good here and strong at Texas Motor Speedway.
I'm surprised by the speed of this 7 car, especially after last week watching Cindric just dominate at Kentucky. This is a layout similar to Kentucky as far as one end of the track being different than the other. The traction compound, this all to me was really lining up for an opportunity for Cindric to really repeat what he did last week.
Cindric's got to get by that 7, and he's also got to keep his eye on the mirror because he knows that Kyle Busch is out there. He's out there somewhere, different strategy. Dave.
Justin Allgaier may be the match of everybody today. He just told his team, boy, when these tires are hot, my car is more manageable than anybody else's. And crew chief Jason Burdett agreed, yes, it is.
Hot tires, guys. What do you think?
I just think he's handling good, got good speed. But still, we know this 54 car, Kyle Busch, is driving through the field. We haven't really seen a lot of racing with Kyle one-on-one against these guys that have been up toward the front between Cindric and Allgaier. So they're going to have to deal with this 54 eventually at some point. It'll be interesting to see really who has the best car when it counts at the end.
Kyle Busch now up to 4th.
His lap times have, he's been in traffic passing cars. He's not been the fastest car. Now he's in some clean air here. What kind of lap times he can put together. Justin's one of the quicker cars with that clean air out front. Kyle running in 4th, see what kind of lap times he can start to do now that he is also in clean air. Kyle just a little bit slower that time by a 77 on Allgaier, a 80 on Kyle Busch, Marty.
Hey, Junior, having a little Toyota driver update on Kyle Busch, who started 28th and drove to 3rd, then 24th to the lead, and now 16th to 4th for Kyle, who questioned Jacob Canner, his crew chief. Why did we pit last time? Here's the radio conversation.
Okay, so I'm having a hard time understanding why we pit right there. 26 laps on the tires. I was trying to get you a little bit more rear security. I thought we'd bring more of them with us than we did. So that's my bad. My bad.
But it's worked out pretty well, Jacob. Don't worry about it. Kyle has driven, I guess, as we mentioned, from 16th to 4th and tracking down those leaders. And that rear security, indeed, a little bit better on this run for Kyle Busch for those 4 fresh Goodyear tires.
Guys, we talk a lot about the Xfinity series and, what this series is for and how it builds drivers. It also builds crew chiefs. Very impressed with Kyle Busch right there. This is a guy that normally gets emotional on the radio. This is Jacob's only his 4th race with Kyle Busch, right? So Kyle doesn't get mad, but he asks a pretty good question, right? Like, okay, I'm trying to get my brain around why you had me come down pit road. The crew chief said this was my thought. It obviously was wrong and took credit for it. No counter from Kyle Busch. So we talk about what Saturdays are for. It's just not names in the car. It's names on the pit box trying to train Jacob Canner understand a mistake that he perhaps made.
See if he can get to the next level. That's what everybody's fighting to do. Right now, Justin Allgaier fighting to get a win in 2020. We'll go NASCAR nonstop. under 59 laps to go in the My Bariatric Solutions 300 from Texas Motor Speedway. The Xfinity Series returning next Saturday on NBCSN from Kansas Speedway. That coverage beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern. The best racing is now.
Yeah, they got a little break of being the first team on the racetrack. They have a cup race on Thursday night, so even though it'll be a couple days away, I might have at least had the track cleaned up for them.
We see this battle for the lead tightening up here, and that's, the reason why that's happening is because these guys are facing some lap traffic for pretty much the first time in a long time in this race, and it's been difficult for Justin to get through. So it gave an opportunity to 22 of Cindric to close in.
We talked about Austin Cindric and how good he was last week. I mean, he dominated those races, but he's running the front all day today as well. Remember, he had no mile-and-a-half wins, no oval wins until last week. I know he wants to be leading this race, but he is slowly and surely becoming somebody we have to consider a championship favorite. Runs well every single week, Marty.
And remember, Jeff, they had that rough pit stop a little bit ago and had to restart 8th and now work their way up to 2nd here. And also remember what Austin has talked about all day long. Early in the run, they struggle. Into the run, they are much better. And you see that playing out right now. He's tracking down Justin Allgaier.
And my own concern with Austin is we've seen him almost hit the wall off of turn 2 so many times today.
See right there, he's got the 7 pretty loose. We saw what happened with Noah when he got that close to the left rear quarter panel.
Austin just really hangs it out, puts it on the edge all the time. Sometimes that bites him, sometimes that helps him.
Is this going to be a repayment? Because didn't we see this earlier where the 7 was behind the 22, got up there, got a little bit of the air off of him, got him loose, and then made the pass? Will we see the 22 try the same move?
There was a comment that I'd like to get some tires on this thing and go repay that favor. That's what he's trying to do, but that 7 car's got good grip.
He's trying to get to that quarter panel to start the side draft, just can't quite get there.
So this lap traffic coming up, Allgaier's got to deal with Cindric all over him and also make the right move. Cindric's going to turn underneath him.
Yeah, the lap traffic slowing the 7 car down as he starts to lose a little aero, but they're going to go to the bottom, taking away the 22's line and opportunity. He'll have to reset and try again, try to set up that pass again. He's absolutely quicker. He gets to the back of that 7 car and turns down and just can't get the car to get up off the bottom of the corner. But Justin's really costing him some speed, holding him up, getting into the center of the corner.
Steve, how far do they go before they've got to come to pit road?
Well, they can go about 60 laps on fuel, the 7 and the 22. They were on pit road at lap 93. So, you know, with the yellows, I think they could probably run at least 10 or 12 more laps. Their concern is behind them as we see the 22 now get to the inside of the 7 guys. Will this be the move? Whew.
It's close.
What I was saying is behind them, the 54 of Busch and the 20 of Harrison Burton, they were last on pit road at lap 120, so they can run much longer. It'll be interesting to see if they try to pin these guys a lap down or if they follow them on pit road.
Without a lot of tire fall off, Steve, if the tire's not slowing down, it seemed like they would be better off just staying on the racetrack if these guys have to pit on the green. Am I right?
I would stay on the racetrack. I would stay on the racetrack for 2 reasons. One, I don't think it's going to run all the way green, and even if you do get a yellow, you'll have the freshest tires, even if everyone cycles through. So when they bunch the field up, if I'm around 25 laps farther than you, even if another one pits and I'm behind you, I have 25 lap better tires on that green on that restart.
See, Rick, that was a driver when I had to say, right? Am I right? Gotta lean on Steve to tell me that's right. Yes.
Confirmation.
You tell me when the yellows come out, I'll tell you what you should do.
And once again, now Austin Cindric is in a position where he has to chase down the 7.
Yeah, last couple laps, or last couple corners, the 7 Allgaier put a little distance there, and the 22 trying to get back to him.
We're going to a great battle for the lead. 2 young drivers, 1 young driver, 1 experienced driver. Allgaier doesn't want to be called old. He told us the other day, I'm not old.
Austin's really opening up the entry to turn 1, running a lot higher arc into that corner than Justin. Trying to turn down in the middle to get that low run off. See if this lap traffic slows down that 7 a little bit to give him another opportunity. Lap traffic's giving that 22 the chance.
Now, do you think the 7 struggles more in lap traffic because he has been so dominant up in the compound. You know, he doesn't run the bottom of the racetrack much except for passing cars.
You saw it right there. Even though he was passing the 0 into the corner, it still cost him the whole corner. Now the 22 struggling on the inside of the 0 car, Jeffrey Earnhardt. It seems that they're all having a hard time trying to get around lap traffic. That bottom inside that traction compound, just no grip there.
A lot of traffic coming into play here. Lap cars for Justin Allgaier as he tries to negotiate around them. We'll go NASCAR nonstop. It was the lap traffic that helped out Austin Cindric. He was able to get by the 7 of Justin Allgaier, and now Cindric continuing the dominance that he showed a week ago at Kentucky. He leads again, this time at Texas Motor Speedway. You see there Allgaier having to check up.
Yeah, lap traffic, he got in that dirty air and just coming off turn 2, had to lift. Cindric made that move. We saw Cindric was putting pressure on him. I thought Cindric's car was a little better at that time, Dave.
Flag stops happening now. Jeb Burton is on pit road in that 8 car. He said we need to figure out how to get more front turn in it on throttle without taking away the rear grip. Yep, that's the challenge. 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel.
That's going to open the valve, basically, Rick. All of those drivers that pitted last at lap 93 will be looking to come to pit road. Marty.
I guess Ross Chastain in 8th right now. We talk about the grueling conditions these drivers are driving in. Ross is running the Truck Series race later tonight. You see 136 in the car. That's up by Ross's head. Down low in the seat, it's much warmer. And what's happened to Ross, they gave him 2 ice bags. Both of those have broken open. So that water literally is sitting almost boiling on Ross's bottom in the seat. So Junior and Jeff, I'll let you guys take it. That's got to be so uncomfortable inside the car. In fact, Ross said, I feel like a Thanksgiving turkey and I'm cooking literally inside the car.
Yeah, that's happened to me before, and it'll injure you, give you blisters to where it'll take a while to heal. That'll be a couple weeks. It'll be really uncomfortable for him. That water's blistering as we got cars coming to pit road.
Race leader Austin Cindric brings the 7 of Justin Allgaier to pit road. That puts Busch up front. Dave.
Time for the race on pit road. This is between the pit crews. They'll change 4 tires on Justin Allgaier's car, and he overshot. He just barely stays in his pit box. Nice job by the driver of the 7. 4 tires and fuel, Marty.
Austin Cindric, a pit stop that could decide the race. The Team Penske guys had a little rough one earlier. Austin slides a little long in the stall. The car much better. Again, they struggled with it at the beginning of a run. The end of the run, that's been their strength, and that's when he went around Justin Allgaier a little while ago. You see Kyle Busch left-hand side of the screen. He's on pit road as well. Yes, they were able to run a little bit longer, but he just radioed to the crew, we have a bad vibration. So Kyle Busch coming to pit road. He had been running in the top 5 there with those guys after pitting at lap 119. Busch coming to pit road. That leaves Harrison Burton now of those guys that pitted at lap 119, still on the racetrack and leading.
Well, and as we see the 54 on pit road on the bottom of your screen, the 7 of Allgaier, and way out in the distance behind him, the 22 of Cindric. Cindric had a 1-second lead. The 7 chased him on pit road, was faster either on, off, or in the pit box, took over what we think will be the race lead from the 22.
And Austin Cindric came on the radio, said, how about a blend line violation for the 7 NASCAR? Come on, that was way out of bounds.
Yeah, so what he's talking about, blend line, is that NASCAR says you have to be below the white line until the exit of turn 2 coming back on the racetrack after a pit stop. So he's thinking that he carried too much speed and got back up on the racetrack too quickly.
Best driver in NASCAR on and off pit road time and time again. Not an opinion, data. The stats prove it. Kyle Busch, once again, there he is. He pitted 1 lap after the 7. He had jumped to 22, and here he is on Justin Allgaier's bumper all through the pit cycle. A good car, a good setup, but made up time as well.
Dave.
Brandon Jones now in for what should be his final pit stop. 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. Wanted the rear lateral grip back that they lost on the last run. He's off pit lane.
Remember, guys, these drivers are hitting pit road under these green flag conditions without being able to practice it. It's really difficult to carry that much speed getting on the pit road without being penalized. And every time in these races when you see green flag pit stops, remember the first time they're doing it is live. They do not have practice anymore, so you cannot try it. Something I noticed with the 54 when he was on pit road, as you can see, battling for the lead here. Watch him right here. He comes in, slides, car shuts off, he fires it up. Look at the fire coming out of the exhaust pipes. Right rear tire changer, no problem, I got it. Battle for the lead.
Yeah, it was 134, 35 that was inside the car, and I'm guessing when you got fire shooting on you, it's probably a little bit warmer. This isn't for the lead yet. We still have Harrison Burton out on the racetrack. They still have to come to pit road, as does Briscoe, Annette, Chastain, and Brown.
And Rick, they're basically hoping for yellow. That'd be great. But even if they don't have a yellow now, they're hoping they get a yellow after their pit stop. They're going to lose time, but not a lap to these guys when I'm talking about Burton and Briscoe. So they should have the best tires if the field does get bunched up at the end of this race.
One thing I'm curious about, Steve, is that, you know, the fastest car on the racetrack is the leader, Harrison Burton. He's on the oldest tires. So could he come in, run as long as possible, and do just 2 tires? Short fuel, do 2 tires, try to make the stop quicker. Is that an option?
I think it's an option. I wouldn't do it just because there's so many laps to go and the chance of a yellow. I think you're better off to put 4 tires on it. But, you know, you can gamble. The field, Marty, just doesn't seem to be deep enough. 8, 10, 12 cars. I don't like a 2-tire gamble with a smaller field.
Well, and really there's 5 guys trying to play this strategy of those who pitted at 119. Michael Annette's still out there. He pitted at lap 93. But this strategy that Harrison Burton and his team are using is the same exact strategy Ross Chastain used last fall. They did this run long in the final stage, come in, make a short stop, and they wound up finishing second. So this could pay off big for Harrison Burton and the 20 team.
And Marty, also very big, they're posting Justin Allgaier for the blend line. So I guess Austin Cindric's words were heard.
So we're looking for a replay to see if we can find it.
So that's Jason Burdett, his crew chief, saying you have to come this time.
Might not be able to do it.
Yeah,
the position he's in.
Right. Which NASCAR sees that, so he'll have to come this next time. We're going to look for a replay. So drivers, the rule is when you leave pit road, you have to run below the white line to the exit of turn 2.
That's exactly right. You have to get to the exit of turn 2 before you can blend up. And drivers have cheated that for a long time, and NASCAR is pretty liberal on it. They let you, you know, there's no specific spot, but if you take too much of advantage of it, NASCAR will step in and make a call.
Yeah, NASCAR hasn't seen something they didn't like. They make the rules.
The 54 goes by. Again, the reason that's so important, these two have already been to pit road, so we know that the guys in front of right now Kyle Busch will all still have to make a pit stop. And Steve, pass-through penalty. Pass-through penalty here for the 7.
Yeah, it's a pass-through penalty for the 7, but he's going to lose about 30 or 35 seconds just coming down pit road. So this is going to be a very drastic change of events for the 7. All right, so we all wanted to talk about the replay and what you have to do. So drivers, here you go. We're looking. Look at the apron. You're going to see below the white line to your right, the 7 of Allgaier and then the 22. Watch the difference. The 7 of Allgaier crosses the white line. I see some banking. He's on the racetrack. The 22 of Cindric on the apron, still on the apron, all the way.
There's a dotted line right there that their drivers know to cross. That's when they come up on the track.
So the question is, in your mind, that's clear. The 7's up way too early.
As a driver, my understanding is that I go to where the line becomes dotted, like the 22 car did, to get back on the racetrack. You cannot blend up onto the racetrack in the middle of the corner. That is, everyone knows that. I think that Justin may have been carrying so much speed, maybe just accidentally gets up on the back and says, well, I'm committed. There's no reason in trying to save the car here. Could probably spin the car out, actually.
Yeah, this pass is important.
He was in the middle of the corner when he blended up onto the racetrack. So, and we talked about the differences in tires. Well, there you have it. I didn't know if new tires would be better, but you can see right there the 7 car clearly faster than the 20.
And you mentioned it, very important pass there. He's now just 1 lap down because he got by Harrison Burton. Race leader Harrison Burton now coming onto pit road. And Harrison Burton giving up the lead. Chase Briscoe now up front. Marty.
Rick, we'll have to see how this plays out, but let's give a tip of the cap to Dustin Zacharias, a longtime lead engineer, filling in for Ben Bayshore, the normal crew chief for Harrison Burton. They are going to go left side tires only and fuel for Harrison Burton. We'll see what kind of track position he can get. Already gone out of the stall, but again, only 3 cars on the lead lap when he came to pit road. We'll see where he cycles out.
All right, Jeff, you mentioned it. Maybe just take 2 tires. Who would have thought? I was thinking rights or none. They took lefts.
There you see the 54 going by him.
Yeah, so he's not going to get track position in front of the leader, the 54, who will cycle to be the lead, but he's definitely going to gain some time on him. My fear, Jeff, and this is why I didn't love 2 tires, is now he has to catch him and he's behind on tire, right? I would rather have had 4 in case I have a yellow. I could kind of bunch up the field and have a chance.
Fight for the lead right here as we see Briscoe is out front. And now Kyle Busch.
Yeah, and this matters because
to get back on the lead lap.
Correct, because if the yellow comes out right now, you know, Kyle Busch will get to wave around and everything's fine, but he's going to have to line up behind the 98. If he passes the 98 and the yellow comes out, no harm, no foul. He'll be leader of the race when the other cars pit.
So working to the inside, trying to get by Briscoe.
Not to mention that he keeps looking in the mirror and sees Cindric right there.
And he completes the pass, so he gets back on the lead lap. Cindric's going to try to do the same thing. Again, Briscoe will have to come to pit road, as will Chastain. Those two are running 1 and 2 right now.
And after I saw what happened to Harrison Burton and 2 tires not giving him the lead, I think it's a slam dunk call for the 98 and the 10 to just put 4 tires and hope you get a yellow in the closing laps to bunch up the field.
Inside of 20 laps to go now. 19. Again, race leader Chase Briscoe. Last was on pit road on lap 119. We've completed 181, Marty.
And Rick, let's give a call to Richard Boswell back on the pit box here at Texas after a suspension a couple of weeks ago, running his driver long because it's been an absolute slog today for Chase Briscoe. They have struggled with the handling of the car. It's been tight all afternoon long. And Steve, it's these days when you run around 8th to 10th, if you can turn that into a top 5 by using a little strategy like Richard Boswell's doing right now, that can win you turn it into a good day and you win a championship.
You just have to keep grinding. You can't let the disappointment, you can't let the emotion get in the way. On top of the pit box, in the car, you know, you just, every lap, every point, every position, you just don't know. And I'm not counting the 98 out. I'm telling you, if this goes right, Rick, if he gets a yellow right now, or if he comes to pit road and gets a yellow 3 or 4 laps after, he's going to have brand new tires for a sprint to the finish.
Yeah, now just 17 laps to go. When does he come, though? I mean, where's the point of no return? How long do you stay out on the track?
For every drop of fuel you feel you have in that car at this point. That's the biggest mistake I see people make, and I made it as well. I get nervous, and I would jump off my strategy, and I'm like, okay, now wait a minute. Either do A or do B. There is no C. There is no all of the above. You have to pick one, and that's what he's doing, and I'm telling you, it's tough. Richard Boswell right now, know he's losing time, know he's losing positions. It takes a lot of toughness, mental toughness, to stand here and leave your car on the racetrack with 16 laps to go.
So I mentioned 119. How far can he go? I mean, he's already gone a lot of laps that I didn't think he could go.
Well, you figure 60 green, this is 63 green and 3 yellow. I only have about 1 or 2 more laps of fuel. When the pace falls off, you burn much less fuel.
Oh, something come out of the car.
Yeah, water bottle.
Yeah, threw his water bottle out trying to get him a yellow.
Absolutely. Is that what that move is?
Absolutely.
Get some roll bar padding.
We've all done it. We've all done that.
I haven't.
Oh, come
on. Burton jumps in right away.
Oh, no, I've never done 3 and 4. I just saw it fly off the 22 car, or one of them.
Yeah, you got to be careful here.
Marty.
Jeff Burton, you are lying. You've thrown stuff out the window before to get a caution. Ross Chastain coming to pit road. So now Chase Briscoe, the only one out there who has not pitted for this final time, and still no word about whether they will come to pit road. 4 fresh Goodyear tires here for Ross Chastain. We'll see where he cycles out. Briscoe still in the lead.
And maybe on fumes. Chastain gets some fuel.
Yeah, the tough part for me when I was throwing some out the windows, I usually had an in-car camera, so I had to sneak that by the camera, whatever I was going to throw out.
Well, NASCAR finds you, if they see you doing it, they do not like it, and it will not go over well.
You see the 98 right here. Kind of keep an eye. He'll probably see a hand out the window on the backstretch, letting Harrison Burton know he's coming to pit road.
You can see right there with those just the two left side tires. It's not a lot of speed in that, is it? That decision to put 2 on was all about track position. We think that a car with newer tires could go around Briscoe quicker. But 2 left sides, just not a lot of speed.
Now the biggest mistake the 98 can make right here would be to run out of gas.
Yeah.
You know, unlike in the Cup cars who have a little bit of a reserve system, you get a warning. In these Xfinity cars, the way the fuel systems work, when you run out, you're out. You're coasting.
So we mentioned there's something that came out of the car. Well, take a look. This is him coming through 3 and 4, and you'll see it go right there.
Yeah, that's something that NASCAR is not going to take kindly, and nor should they.
That'll be a conversation for sure.
Yeah, that's, you know, it's you know, you have competition out there. You know, everybody can't be throwing stuff out of the windows trying to get cautions.
But we see water bottles get thrown out of cars all the time. Normally it's down to the apron under a caution or out of the racing groove, right?
That's a different situation where you're under caution. You're just getting it out of the car to make room for your next one when the crew hands it to you. I have a feeling there'll be a conversation about that this week.
So now Harrison Burton is off of being a lap down, back on the lead lap there. A car hit, I would guess that was the water bottle that was thrown out. It goes flying up into the wall.
Bye. Next time, bye. Hit this time.
So what are they going to do here, Steve?
You know, with 10 laps to go, I still think you have to take 4 tires. I know if you take right sides, you're going to have a way shorter pit stop or just do gas and go, but you're talking a second off the pace on new tires. You still have 9 laps. That's 9 seconds to make it up, and you might get a yellow. I would take 4, so that probably means Richard Boswell will take 2 or none.
This team, remember, they already have 4 wins, so 5 wins.
5 wins.
So yeah, they have 5 wins. So they, you know, they weren't in position to win this race if it went normal. So just try something different.
Maybe gamble. Well, they've come to pit road. That means now.
Right sides and fuel.
Did you hear that? Right sides and fuel.
Yeah, Rick, I was going to say those 5 win stickers, that kind of gives you some latitude, Steve, when you have all those wins. You could take a gamble like this. In fact, Chase Briscoe a lap ago said, what are we doing? Are we saving fuel? And Tim Peter, his spotter, said, nope, we're not saving fuel. We're coming next time. Now, he did slide the tires a little bit coming to pit road. I would say that's a little bit of a concern to this team, but right side Goodyear tires only and fuel to make it to the end for Chase Briscoe.
Watch the 98 come around here. Remember, the 7 had a violation how he entered the racetrack. We'll make sure that 98, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on if you're a Kyle Busch fan or not, executed perfectly. 11.5-second lead over Austin Cindric and the 22. So we watched the 54 make up that time on the green flag pit stop by passing the 22. He closed into the back bumper of the 7 of Allgaier. Allgaier had his penalty, relinquishing the lead to the 54, and the 54 has been nothing but stretch out the lead.
And remember, Steve, Jacob Cantor made the call to bring him in. He then said that was probably a mistake. Not enough guys came with us, but in the end, it's going to work out pretty well for Kyle Busch. And what a career he has had. The 35-year-old from Vegas has an Xfinity Series championship. 355 starts, 97 wins. Mark Martin is second in the wins column with 49. That's how far and how dominant Kyle Busch has been in this series. A 27% win percentage. And at Texas, it's almost doubled. It's 43%, his win percentage at this racetrack. Marty.
Hey, Rick, you mentioned it. If Kyle Busch can hang on for these final 6 laps, it would be win number 98 in the Xfinity Series. And he has been asked over and over and over again, when you get to 100, are you quitting? And he reiterates every time, yes, I am not going to run any more Xfinity Series races after 100. A little debris on the grid. I don't think they're too concerned about that. But the one thing, Rick, he cannot reach 100 this year. He has one more Xfinity Series race left this year. If he wins that one, that'll be 99. And now a caution comes out. Kyle Busch in the lead. Could be a little bit of a game changer with fresh tires behind him.
Right now, there are 8 cars on the lead lap. One will get the free pass. Probably it will be Justin Haley, who was running 9th. He was the first car scored 1 lap down, and already the head scratching is taking place.
That debris on the grill, it just got on there. I don't think it was going to be an issue to get to the finish, but now he'll have to be tasked to get that off the grill before this restart.
You'll just pull up behind somebody, right?
You get up behind the pace car, and the air turbulence should be able to take that away.
This will be an interesting call on strategy with only 8 cars in the lead lap. Who's going to elect to put on tires?
Well, as good as I saw old tires run earlier, it's going to be hard to pit, but so fewer cars as you mentioned, Jeff. You know, I think Briscoe at this point would have wished that their crystal ball didn't tell him the yellow was going to come out. As I said earlier, tell me when the yellows will come out, and I'll tell you how you might want to call it. But 4 tires would have definitely have helped Briscoe. But if everyone pits, or even if they don't pit, he has the freshest right side tires by a lot, by 30 laps. So that might be an advantage.
So if I'm Kyle Busch and I got this debris on the grill, I would cycle the motor to get the temp down and leave the debris. for this run to the finish.
Absolutely.
Because that's like tape on the grill. That's like qualifying tape.
Downforce.
Absolutely. It's going to make that car drive amazing for a couple laps.
Well, it came off.
It's gone.
Yep.
Hey, the caution came out for the 08 of Joe Graff Jr., and so that's why the caution is out. And the laps, it will be about a 5-lap shootout. So, Steve, you're on the lead lap. Like we had mentioned, there's 8 guys that were on there. There's going to be one more because of the free pass. Who comes to pit road? At what point do you come to pit road and what point do you not?
Well, it depends on how many tires you have. Remember, they only had 4 sets in their pits. So we know they put on at least 3, stage end in the middle of this cycle. There had been some other cautions where people came to pit road and not. So first thing you have to do is have a set to put on. So I think that would make the decision. If I have tires, I am not starting on the front row, I come to pit road. Harrison Burton, all of those guys I would pit. They're opting to stay out. We're going to see the 98 come right here. He might take the fresh left side tires to go with the right, or might put on 4. I'll be honest, I don't have who has a set of tires and who doesn't here in front of me. In the Xfinity Series, there is a tire limit. This is a big step in the right direction for the 7 of Allgaier. Remember, this is how you bounce back from that penalty. Dave.
That's right. He's got tires, Steven. They're going to put him on his race car, cave up 8th position to get the fresh rubber. Also pitting behind him, Brandon Jones comes down pit road in the yellow 19. So a couple of drivers taking advantage here, Marty.
Yeah, with Justin Haley getting back on the lead lap, getting the free pass, there'll be 9 cars on the lead lap. They go left side tires on Chase Briscoe's car, but interestingly, they added some air to the right side tires. So good strategy move by Richard Boswell there for Chase Briscoe. It'll be interesting to see if these fresh tires can catch Kyle Busch here.
So remember, guys, on this pit strategy and who had tires, remember that when Kyle Busch and Harrison Burton kind of had that questionable pit call earlier, they put a set of tires on there, so they did not have any more tires. They had used all 4 of their sets that were in the pits.
Here's the reason for the caution. Again, it's the 08 of Joe Graff Jr.
Oh, boy.
See him sideways, a little contact there into the wall.
Well, I'd be frustrated if I was the leader for that yellow. Very frustrated.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I think NASCAR's been better and better about debris yellows and accident yellows. From what I saw right there, I would be frustrated that that was a caution, but, they have to call the race and how they see it. So we're going to have Kyle Busch and Austin Cindric on the front row, Harrison Burton with Jeb Burton on the second row. Burton Cousins, do I have that right?
Yep.
Burton Cousins on the second row. Annette, a nice run in 5th. Brandon Jones. So, guys, Brandon Jones on new tires. Briscoe on new tires.
Allgaier on new tires.
Allgaier on new tires.
Hey, guys, correction. That was 4 tires on Chase Briscoe. Just wanted to make sure we made that correction.
All right, 4 tires. And remember, coming up, IMSA WeatherTech Series from Sebring. Then the second race from Iowa for the IndyCar Series, and Mecum Auto Auctions from Indy. So a full day here on NBCSN. And I tell you, crazy action last night for the NTT IndyCar Series.
Yeah, this is coming to a start, and it gets waved off. And look at this.
Yeah, that's VK and Herta. And look at this. The windscreen, Hinchcliffe made the comment the windscreen may have just saved his life.
Scary incident. You said they called it restart off and he just couldn't get slowed down. And good thing he didn't get caught up in that fencing. As you know, with the wind.
Somehow someone beat Scott Dixon finally. Scott Dixon has been on fire. So, second.
Hey, guys, this restart right here, the launch is going to be so big. Can they keep from spinning the rear tires? You got new tires back there in the 3rd row. Can the 2nd and 1st row keep from spinning the tires on the launch?
We're in overtime, presented by Credit One Bank.
Jeff Burton spins the tires, and that's going to hold up the 98 significantly, as you mentioned, Jeff.
Kyle Busch using that traction compound up high to try to pull away from Cindric. The way overtime works, if the leader gets, sideways Jeb Burton. I was going to say if the leader gets back to the white flag before a caution comes out, then the next flag will end the race. He does make it to the white flag. If he wouldn't have made it to the white flag before a caution came out, they would have done it again. But Kyle Busch now with a sizable lead going down the backstretch for the final time at Texas Motor Speedway. A 97-time winner, trying to make it 98 today. He was 9-0 at Texas, entering this race against the field, and he's going to make it 10-0. Kyle Busch is going to win again at Texas.
Can we come here to you? Hell of a job, KB, man. That was a great restart. Thank you.
So he's definitely the all-time best in the Xfinity Series with 98 wins now. He has already said that when he gets to 100, he's going to call it quits, but he also has left out there that if Joe Gibbs needs him for something, to go and fill in for a driver, do something maybe potentially for sponsors, that he would come back and run. But he wants to get to the magic number of 100. There you see him now doubling second. Mark Martin for wins. Kevin Harvick with 47. Brad Keselowski 39. Carl Edwards 38. Kyle Busch with 98 wins.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans might be happy when he retires, but these drivers today, these young guys really love the opportunity to race against him and to learn from him and obviously have an opportunity to beat him because it really raises their profile. It's the only, they can't do that if he's not out on the racetrack.
Every driver in this field learned something today by racing with Kyle Busch. And they know now where they need to be better. And that's how you learn. This guy right here, he's great. We overuse that word, but in this case, it's not being overused. He's a great race car driver, puts everything into it.
Jeff, they all learned something today because they all saw him.
Well, I was
going to back twice.
Yes.
Every car in the field saw him at least once.
Normally you learn something when you follow a driver, and every single person has followed Kyle Busch today multiple times. Let's go to Marty.
Well, Kyle parks it here on the start-finish line. A big win for him here at Texas Motor Speedway, taking some pictures. No fans here at Texas Motor Speedway today, but they will be here tomorrow. They expect about 25,000 fans here. And today, Kyle Busch gets it in victory lane. Second Xfinity Series win of 2020 for Rowdy. And boy, he had to work for it today. I think I lost count at about 60, about the amount of cars you had to pass today. How much of a challenge was it to have him come from the back 3 times today, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, just slick racetrack, and these Xfinity cars, they don't have a whole lot of grip, so you're definitely battling it. And the Twix Cookies and Cream Supra here was better than the rest. It was pretty good. That last run we were a little bit too tight. I was kind of worried that the 7 was going to have something for us, and then they had a penalty, and then the 22 was kind of charging on me there and catching me a little bit, and then he kind of stalled out, and that was it. So got a great restart there at the end, was able to bring it home for our boys. Everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing, everybody at M&M's, Rowdy Energy, Interstate Batteries, hometown here for those guys. So really appreciate everybody helping me come out here and finish up the last few here in the Xfinity Series.
He's got one more this year, Rick, where he can get to 99. That's coming up in a couple of weeks, but 98 for Kyle Busch today.
That's such a big number. And he will be headed to SpeedyCash.com victory lane. We've got a little more here to go at Texas Motor Speedway. Stay with us.